What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
7WS. Chapter 111 Divine Hexagram. Black One Eye. The right hand of the Spirit King is coming. Advertise here. What? Did you hear that right? You are actually confident that you can cure this disease of mine. Hear Bai Chen's words. Look at his serious expression again. Jiro Yukutake was stunned, although his first reaction was to believe in Richen. When I think of the root cause of tuberculosis. Jiro Yukutake's eyes immediately darkened. Cure. Totally impossible, if it's just an ordinary illness. Even if Bai Chen doesn't propose at this moment. Many years ago. Jiro Yukutake himself will try his best. Take care of this disease of yours. But the key is, the reason why internal organs are missing. And I have been coughing non-stop since then. It's because Jiro Yukutake was terminally ill when he was 3 years old. And he once died due to illness. Later, in critical condition. Jiro Yukutake's parents. The young man was sent to the right arm left behind by the Soul King. In the ancestral hall of the one-eyed god tier that he transformed into. Finally, at the cost of taking away the lungs from the one-eyed god tier. And given the power to become the substitute of the Spirit King. This brought young Jiro Yukutake back to life. Of course. After experiencing this incident, in the next few hundred years. Due to the lack of lungs, physical discomfort often occurs. So Jiro Yukutake over the years. He has always looked like a frail and sickly child. Even in the original plot. Until you sacrifice your life. In the end, due to exhaustion of spiritual power, he died along with the Soul King's right hand. Jiro Yukutake has never shown his true strength. So, although I am very grateful for Bai Chen's proactive concern 03. But Jiro Yukutake still forced a smile. He declined politely. Bai Chen, forget it. The disease in my body, even Captain Unohana Retsu is helpless. I appreciate your kindness, Jiro Yukutake originally thought. He said so. Bai Chen should leave it at that. This topic will not be discussed further. But who knows? His eyes were calm, eye to eye with Jiro Yukutake. Bai Chen lowered his eyes and looked intentionally at the opponent's back. Then he said meaningfully, Captain Jiro, actually, it's you who misunderstood. The healing, I mean, is not just ordinary healing. But indirect expulsion. Actually, even if you agree, the god residing in your body, the legendary, one-eyed god tier. I'm sure there will be strong objections, right? Although Bai Chen's tone was very calm. But what he said. The moment it came from my throat. It was like a giant nuclear bomb, blasting directly into the heart of Jiro Yukutake. It made him feel creepy for a moment. H+. Bai Chen. You actually know the existence of the one-eyed god tier. Jiro Yukutake was shocked. It was originally due to excessive lack of blood color. This resulted in a pale face that looked like the skin of a dead person. Because of the excitement at this moment. And instantly became extremely rosy. He never expected it. This secret that stays with me throughout my life. One day it will be mentioned from Bai Chen's mouth. But then I thought about it. When I think about it, Bai Chen has just finished a trip to the Great Spirit Book Corridor. Jiro Yukutake will immediately stop feeling weird. As for Shiba Kayan on the side, it was a confused expression. I feel very unfamiliar with the so-called one-eyed god tier. He had never heard of it before either. So, Captain Jiro, we have already talked about this. If you trust me, you might as well take the initiative to confess the truth. Bai Chen showed a faint smile. He only proposed treatment, not a spur-of-the-moment idea. But because, in fact, it was a long time ago. On the day of team owner selection. Bai Chen was originally aiming for the spiritual king's right hand. Only then would he choose Division 13 where Jiro Yukutake is. But the timing is not right. That's why Bai Chen never took the initiative to propose it. Want to treat Jiro Yukutake. And now, the opportunity is right in front of you. As he just said, this is therapy. It is also an indirect expulsion. It means that during the healing process, there will inevitably be a confrontation with the will of the Spirit King's right hand. That is the power of the legendary Spirit King. If it was before. Bai Chen may not be completely sure yet. But, awakening 3 Tomo Sharingan. And can use spiritual power to activate illusions. Bai Chen has 100% confidence. During the collision of Reiatsu, he was able to rely on his superb. Confuse, suppress, and even control the will of the Spirit King's right hand. And then, even if you can't fully take possession of this power in the end. At least it can rob part of the Spirit King's power. So as to let your soul accept the baptism from the power of the Spirit King. Thus reborn. Build the King Key. Well, Jiro Yukutake was silent. It would have been before, anytime. Or in front of anyone. He would never take the initiative to reveal the secret about the Spirit King's right hand. Looking at Bai Chen now. Considering the past few months. All kinds of extraordinary and miraculous events happened to Bai Chen. Feel the sincerity in Bai Chen's eyes again. Jiro Yukutake thought for a moment. After his eyes flickered violently, he finally nodded in agreement. White, as you just said, I believe in you. I am also confident in your healing ability. Jiro Yukutake looked at Bai Chen. His eyes became complicated and full of expectation. Quote. Even during the subsequent healing process. It is very likely to offend Mr. Mimi Hockey. For a permanent solution once and for all, I also decided to take a gamble. And next, in front of Bai Chen and Shiba Kyan, Jiro Yukutake roughly recounted his experiences as a child. And confessed the true identity of the one-eyed god tier. And after listening to all this, Shiba Kyan, who had been kept in the dark before, had no idea. I was also stunned instantly. Spiritual King, right hand. Captain Jiro, even after listening to what you just said in person. I am still in disbelief at this moment. Shiba Kyan has a complicated expression. There was a look of horror in his eyes. As the current head of the Shiba family. Books and documents passed down from ancient times through the family. Shiba Kyan has known about the existence of the Spirit King for a long time. Pato, in his impression, as the Lord of the Three Realms, he is the central wedge of the entire Shinigami world. It stands to reason. The Spirit King should be divine and powerful. And it is perfect. DJ. According to what Jiro Yukutake just said. As a part of the Spirit King's body. How could the Soul King's right hand be separated alone? And from the mysterious Spirit King Palace space. What about the turbulent and chaotic Rukongai that fell thousands of years ago? For this matter, Shiba Kyan, just imagine it, and it's terrifying to think about it. I can't help but stand on end. I have thought about this issue for a long time. I think it should be related to the ancestors of the five nobles. But that was also a matter of ancient times. It's not something we should discuss right now. Although about the Spirit King and the right hand of the Spirit King, there are too many oddities and doubts. But Jiro Yukutake is not interested in continuing the discussion. The only thing he cares about right now. This is the healing process that will take place soon. And when the time comes, the Mimi Hockey, whom I have believed in all my life. What kind of reaction will there be? This is what Jiro Yukutake cares about most. At this moment, Bai Chen asked cautiously, Captain Jiro. There should be a suitable and hidden place in the 13th Division building, right? In Bai Chen's impression, inside the team building of each squad, there will be an ancient dojo made of murderous stones. In general, ordinary team members are not allowed to enter. And there is also a Kido barrier inside that can isolate Reiatsu. If you do secret healing there, that can prevent the will of the Spirit King's right hand from coming. Which leads to too much movement, thus alarming the entire Seraiti. Of course, Jiro Yukutake nodded, got up and walked outside the house first. #AB. Go to the ancient dojo at the deepest part of the team building. It's an excellent closed place. It will never be noticed by outsiders. Soon after, in a huge enclosed ancient dojo, it is surrounded by towering murderous stone barriers and the Kido barrier attached to them. Making this an absolutely closed secret room. In addition to normal circulating air. Any fluctuation of spiritual power cannot spread. At this time, the central location of the dojo. The tenfold Kido barrier suddenly rises. 893. Inside the white barrier, Jiro Yukutake sits cross-legged and meditates. And Bai Chen is standing behind him. While carrying the flame fan on his back, he holds the Zanpakutō, wood dragon, in his hand. The atmosphere in the house. Also because of this scene. I suddenly became nervous and depressed. Vice Captain Kyan. Is there really no problem? Why do I feel like things are serious? Outside the Kido barrier, Katetsu Kion asked with a worried look on his face. The reason why she was there. I was specially called here by Jiro Yukutake. Other than that, and Shiba Kyan's wife, Shiba was also present. The purpose is to worry about the healing process. You may encounter some unexpected accidents. And if only Shiba Kyan is present alone. It is inevitable because of limited abilities. And feel unable to cope with it. So, just to be on the safe side, only Jiro Yukutake would call all the people he trusts the most to the scene. Qingyan, don't worry, Shiba Kyan patted her shoulder. Smiling and comforting. Believe in the captain. Also believe in Bai Chen. My intuition tells me that after this special healing, Captain Jiro's body will be completely healed. And as long as the lungs are regenerated and the weakness is lifted, Captain Jiro will regain his peak power. At this time, in Shiba Kyan's expectant eyes, the two people inside the barrier are already preparing for treatment. Captain Jiro, please take off the upper body of the Death Tyrant costume and the Captain Haori. Bai Chen signaled with a solemn look. We are about to face the legendary Soul King's right hand. Even Bai Chen has been mentally prepared for it. It's inevitable that your nerves will be tense at this moment. Don't dare to be careless at all. Bai Chen. I'll help you later. His back was to Bai Chen. After deliberately admonishing him again, Jiro Yukutake untied the straps. A swipe sound, as the clothes on the upper body came off. His back, extremely clear, is in front of everyone's eyes. There is a huge and conspicuous one above. Like a black shadow, the black one-eye pattern keeps rising. And this is clearly a sign that the divine hexagram ceremony is about to start. Chapter 112 Suppressing the Spirit King's Right Hand. Alarm Team 0. Advertise here. What's this? This huge black pattern is too weird. I just took a look at it. I actually feel like my soul is constantly shaking and trembling. At this time, looking at Jiro Yukutake's back. Behind that mysterious one-eyed pattern that is like a black shadow and looming. 3 people watching from outside the barrier. An expression of horror and fear appeared instantly. While he couldn't help but retreat in confusion, his voice became obviously trembling. It's just that the divine hexagram has just been revealed. Jiro Yukutake has not held a prayer ceremony yet. Light is the moment of exposure. It brought an unspeakable visual shock to everyone. It's just emerging. Will it instantly plunder a large amount of energy, blood and spiritual power? No wonder Jiro Yukutake's body has been so weak over the past few years. Compared to others. Because I have been mentally prepared for a long time. So for the emergence of the one-eyed pattern. Bai Chen didn't react much, but focused his attention. Put it on the status of Jiro Yukutake. Bai Chen noticed clearly. As the black shadow continues to rise, the remaining color on Jiro Yukutake's face is completely overdrawn. It was as if all the energy and blood in the body had been drained out in an instant. Which led to his current state. Immediately became weaker than ever before. It seems that he may die suddenly due to exhaustion of energy and blood at any time. Captain Jiro, are you okay? Bai Chen couldn't help but ask with concern. He was really worried. Treatment hasn't started yet. Jiro Yukutake will be the first to be unable to hold on. And as the captain's beloved disciple, one of the only centenary captains currently in existence. If only Jiro Yukutake had died for nothing. Bai Chen can't afford this pot. Ahem. His back was to Bai Chen. Jiro Yukutake coughed weakly. On the pale face, a smile forced itself on. There was obvious self-blame in his words. Terribly sorry. It must have scared you all, right? But don't worry, everyone. This is the truest form of Lord Haha Mickey. We should look at it with awe. At this time. He is obviously too weak. But Jiro Yukutake didn't care. It's as if he has become a fervent and devout believer. When mentioning the name of the Soul King's right hand, his eyes became extremely fanatical. A moment full of faith. Captain Jiro, are you ready? As long as you can bear it, I can activate my ability at any time. In case of close contact, Bai Chen's emotions will inevitably be infected. Although not as fanatical as Jiro Yukutake. But when I looked at the black one-eye pattern again, there was also a little more awe in Bai Chen's eyes. Bai Chen, just do your best and don't have any psychological burden. No matter what the outcome will be during the subsequent treatment. I am willing to accept and face it calmly. Jiro Yukutake encouraged calmly. And got his approval. Bai Chen didn't show any procrastination either. Raise your hand, hold the handle of the knife, and stand the Zanpakutō, mu, long, in front of you. Then, Bai Chen thought about it. No pre-chanting required. It directly activates the ability of Mayan healing. The next moment, boom, the majestic Reiatsu is almost like a torrent. It emits an extremely dazzling green light. In just a few breaths. It rolled around with great momentum and instantly occupied every corner of the dojo. It's like being completely dominated. This is an insulated and sealed secret room. At the same time, also because Bai Chen's Reiatsu is so strong. Make the 3 Shiba people outside the barrier. Once again I couldn't help but be shocked and sighed. What a powerful Reiatsu this is. It has actually reached the point where it is almost completely materialized. Compared to the battle with the captain at the foot of Shuangji Hill. Obviously the power of Bai Chen's 3 seats has become stronger again in a short period of time. Among the 3, Shiba was the most shocked. How long has it been since then? It's only been a week. Such a short time, for Shinigami who has a long life. You can even ignore it. However, the truth is so outrageous. It was obvious that Richen had done nothing in the past few days. Just wait silently, but his power, Reiatsu's intensity, has inexplicably increased. This is a cheating way to become stronger. As an outsider, Shiba couldn't help but feel jealous. But, if it's this level of Reiatsu, perhaps we can really suppress the will of the Soul King's right hand. Come to your senses. Shiba is no longer envious. There was a strong look of expectation in his eyes. He suddenly had a strong intuition. With this superb Reiatsu. In the next healing process, Bai Chen may really be able to suppress the power of Reiatsu's right hand. And at this time, in the shocking eyes of everyone, those surging and spreading green Reiatsu air waves. In an instant, they all pressed towards Jiro Yukutake's back. This is Bai Chen's deliberate manipulation. The purpose is to suppress the seal of the divine hexagram. At the same time, let the ability of Muji healing quickly heal the sick body. Regenerate Jiro Yukutake's lungs in the shortest possible time. However, just when everything is going on in an orderly manner, both unexpected and expected changes occurred. Boom. even though Jiro Yukutake didn't pray intentionally. But, the huge black pattern on his back, it's as if the crisis has been predicted in advance. EXX, without Jiro Yukutake taking the initiative to sacrifice himself. Unconsciously woke up on its own. It's over. The will of the Soul King's right hand has awakened. It is clearly forcibly rejecting any interference from external forces. At this time, among the exclamations of Shiba Kaien and others, black one-eye pattern, no longer just clinging to Jiro Yukutake's back. Instead, it completely rose up. The vertical tower stands in midair. It looks like a real living creature, exuding great pressure. And this is a weird scene. In an instant, Jiro Yukutake himself was included. Everyone was shocked. This wave. That's right. This is the legendary power of the Spirit King. Bai Chen looked up, staring at the huge black shadow in front of him. After feeling the special and mysterious fluctuations coming from it, Bai Chen's eyes gradually became fiery. The right hand of the Spirit King. One-eyed god tier. The so-called Lord Mimihaki. Things that only existed in legends in the past. But he appeared alive and blocked him in front of him. One way or another, now that things have developed to this point, then we can only compete to see who is more powerful. After a brief moment of surprise, Bai Chen calmed down quickly. The rushing emerald green Reiatsu suppresses the force below even more violently. It's undeniable, the Spirit King's right hand has indeed appeared. But now, even if its consciousness has awakened, but Jiro Yukutake did not sacrifice his life in a boarding container, without sacrifice and dedication of strength. At this moment, the Spirit King's right hand is also in full glory. FFLX. Bai Chen is fully confident that he can defeat it. At the same time, facing a long-lost sense of crisis. The most instinctive reaction of the Soul King's right hand is to resist with all his strength. Boom. The one-eyed shadow swells and becomes bigger. The surroundings are also accompanied by dark spiritual energy. That is passive defense. At the same time, he also takes the initiative to attack. The dark spiritual power surged upwards, surging towards the surroundings. We are about to meet Bai Chen's entity Reiatsu. They hit each other hard head-on. It's terrible, even if there hasn't been a collision yet. The tenfold Kido barrier has been shaking violently. And this is the result of the combined suppression of the murderous stone and the Kido barrier. At this time, 3 people outside the barrier. Because I can't bear the oppression of the torrent of spiritual power. I had difficulty breathing for a long time and retreated to the corner. The body is limp, against the murderous stone barrier. Relying on the suppression of spiritual power by the murderous stone. Only then was he barely able to regain the right to breathe. A dodge, even if the Soul King's right hand has been in the past hundreds of years. Give Captain Jiro rebirth and make him a substitute. But, such a dark form. It still makes people feel creepy. Koch Kion is scared. I was so scared that I couldn't help but want to escape. No matter how much she has confidence in Bai Chen. Yeah, the weight of these 2 words, spiritual king. Still, Katetsu Keen was so oppressed that she couldn't breathe. To this, Shiba Kaien remained silent, as the vice captain of the 13th Division. No matter what difficulties he encounters, he will always be the first to step forward. But now, Shiba Kaien can't do anything. In the face of a contest that is close to the Spirit King level. He is just a Shinigami vice captain, but for the tenfold Kido barrier in front of him. I'm afraid it's just the current distance. The momentum brought by those 2 streams of spiritual energy is oppressive. It's enough to bring Shiba Kaien's soul to life. Shattered to pieces on the spot. Look, there is a collision of spiritual powers. Bai Chen and Ling Wang's right hand are about to decide the winner. Shiba Kaien. Around, good money. His wife, Shiba, even exclaimed. Only within the boundary. The dark current that represents the power of the Spirit King. And the green Reiatsu of Bai Chen with Zanpakutō, Wood Dragon. The 2 collided head-on in midair. Boom. A violent collision between spiritual powers. Because the level is too high. Reiatsu's density and strength are at full level. In an instant, a terrifying Reiatsu air wave of black and green arose. He actually broke through 3 Kido barriers in an instant. It caused white barrier fragments all over the ground. And as a bystander, the original purpose of appearing here. These are the 3 Shiba Kaien who maintain the stability of the Kido barrier. He quickly endured the suffocating pressure. And under the high pressure of the Reiatsu air wave, the pain feels like the soul is about to be torn apart. The 3 of them were desperate. Send spiritual power towards the outer barrier. This made the remaining Kido barrier barely stable. It won't be all penetrated in an instant. But even so. Due to excessive spiritual energy consumption in a short period of time. The faces of the 3 Shiba Kaien also became as pale as Jiro Yukutake. And what's even more surprising to everyone is, although he tried his best to contain the overflow and spread of the spiritual power. Because of the special nature of the Soul King's right hand. The fluctuations he emits are still far up in the sky. He has been living in seclusion in the space of the spiritual palace. It was noticed by the 5 members of the Zero Squadron who also only existed in rumors. 89. The battle between Bai Chen and the right hand of the Spirit King. Inadvertently, the Zero Squadron was alarmed. Chapter 113 Illusion Control. Dominate the power of the Spirit King. Advertise here. At the same time, just when Bai Chen and the Spirit King's right hand started a spiritual battle. Far above the canopy of Seraiti. That area is guarded by 72 barriers. Aizen has been planning for hundreds of years and deliberately wants to enter the Spirit King Palace space. Because the Spirit King's right hand suddenly appeared. And the strange fluctuations it emits. 5 members of Team Zero. I was shocked instantly, at the call of the Eye Monk. They quickly gathered in the Zero Banley Palace, and started an emergency discussion. I didn't expect that. The Soul King's right arm, Mimi Haki, has been left in Rukongai since thousands of years ago. It actually took the initiative to appear again after so many years. In the eye socket, his eyes kept rolling. Eye Monk is the leader of Team Zero. Under the wide white feather fabric, his hands were folded in front of him. While playing with the hanging red rosary beads, one side looked deeply, grinning and exclaimed. As a legendary person, among the entire Soul Society, the person who is older than the captain. Eye Monk, Ikibe Hayasube. In addition to commanding the Zero Squadron, he is also the leader of the Shinigami group. He who possesses Zanpakutō, one Manji. It is also the name of everything in Soul Society. That is to say, Monk Yan, both in terms of strength and status. They are all above the Commander-in-Chief. The unquestionable, Shinigami Administrator. It is a true ceiling-level battle experience in the entire Shinigami world. Therefore, with powerful rules capabilities. Only a monk with an eye can sense it immediately. There are signs of spiritual energy fluctuations occurring in the 13th Division team building at this moment. Yes, if I remember correctly, Jiro Yukutake. He should be the container where the Soul King's right hand has been staying. Not far away, he was once the captain of Division 12 100 years ago. That is Urahara Kazuki's ex. The plump Hikafuna Kiryu said with a positive tone. Before being promoted to Division 663. Because of his kind personality and good at cooking delicious food and supplements. So Hikatake Kiryu and Jiro Yukutake have a good relationship. She knew it early on. About the secret of the Soul King's right hand. FFLX. You think it was Jiro Yukutake who activated the divine hexagram seal. Sacrifice yourself and let the Spirit King possess you with his right hand. It shouldn't be possible. Isn't this suicide? Both feet are wearing clogs. He held a straw stalk in his mouth. Kirinji Tenshiro has the iconic airplane head hairstyle. He denied it without thinking. What a joke. This is not wartime. In the past few hundred years, Soul Society has been very stable. Order and stability. Everything is in order. Even Gote 13 is currently a talent. Under this premise, unless Jiro Yukutake suffers from Jiro Yukutake, it is possible that he could not think about it for a moment and commit suicide in this way. But in the impression of Kirin Temple Tenshiro, Jiro Yukutake is a person with an optimistic attitude and a gentle personality. How could he be obsessed with suicide for no reason? %. There is only one possibility. Think of this. Qilin Temple Tianshulang frowned. He said in a speculative tone, could there be an outsider involved? No matter what the purpose is. But in the process, the will of the Spirit King's right hand was awakened. That's why the fluctuation we just sensed occurred. Think of this. Kirin Temple Tianshulang rubbed his chin. The doubtful look in his eyes couldn't help but deepen. As the person who taught Unohana Retsu, Kaido, 1,000 years ago. Just talking about medical ability. Kirinji Tenshiro's medical skills are unparalleled in the entire Shinigami world. Even if it is a serious injury in a near-death state. He can also use hot spring therapy to resurrect the injured with full blood in a short time. But, Jiro Yukutake's physical condition, Tenshiro of Kirin Temple had heard of it many years ago. He once thought about treating the other party. After learning that the lungs were taken away by the Soul King's right hand. Kirin Temple Tenshiro immediately gave up the idea. As a member of the royal family, anything involving the Spirit King, Kirin Temple Tenshiro will naturally not take the initiative to violate his will. Even he can't do anything. It is even more impossible for other outsiders to have the ability to be reborn. Excluding treatment. What is the reason that caused the Spirit King's right hand to unexpectedly appear? His brows knitted together. Qilin Temple Tianshulang couldn't figure it out. I can't think of any other reasonable explanation. Well, no matter the specific reason, how it is. From this moment on, the 5 of us cannot relax for a moment. Once the situation develops out of control, we will eventually be forced to do so. We must also stop this matter from getting worse as soon as possible. Ikibe Hayasube ordered in a deep voice. And when he said the last words, his gaze, no longer kind, in his wide round black eyes. There is an obvious fierce light flashing. Obviously. Because the matter involves the Spirit King. Even if the current results are good or bad, it is still unknown. But it still aroused the hostility of Ikibe Hayasube. Making this the leader of Team Zero. I'm about to get angry because of this. Of course, if the subsequent development, if it doesn't continue to get worse. Then Team Zero won't go to a lot of trouble and go down to the bottom of the world. Excessive exposure to the world. It's not something Ikibe Hyasube wants to see. Hostility is one thing, but what's inside the monk's heart? I still hope that nothing happens in the end. If not, he will definitely use the most severe and cruel means. Come and punish the person who tries to take advantage of the Soul King's right hand. Screen transfer. Return to the ancient dojo of Division 13. While the 5 members of Team Zero were speculating and discussing in the Soul King's palace. Within the tenfold Kido barrier. The confrontation between Bai Chen and the right hand of the Spirit King. It has reached the intense stage where the winner is about to be decided. Suffer. Bai Chen's spiritual power has been suppressed. All the green luster is gradually replaced by black. His power is gradually being swallowed up and assimilated. The exclamations continued. At this time, outside the Kido barrier, the expressions of Shiba Kayan and the other 3 people were seen. At this time, everyone turned pale. Their eyes also reflected the result of the confrontation with the flowing spiritual energy. It turned out to be a one-sided situation. Bai Chen and the green Reiatsu of Zanpakutō, Wood Dragon. Although they were able to compete in separate battles at the beginning. His current strength, not even the top Shinigami. Naturally, it is impossible to fight against the power at the Spirit King level. Even the current right hand of the Spiritual King. It's not at its peak. The strength is obviously weakened. It's still not something Bai Chen can touch easily. If not, the legendary power of the Spiritual King. It won't be so rare and precious anymore. Such a level of power. But what Aizen pursues all his life. And the realm of power to look up to. Things are getting worse. If it continues. Not only the spiritual power was devoured. Also Bai Chen's body. Also the entire spiritual body. Eventually, I will be possessed by the dark spiritual power of Mimi Haki-sama. He saw everything in his eyes. Jiro Yukutake is extremely anxious. I wish I could stand up and stop this from happening. 2. What makes Jiro Yukutake feel helpless? From the moment that huge black one-eye pattern emerged. With the will of the Spirit King's right hand revealed. Jiro Yukutake has temporarily lost control of his body. That is to say, the current him. Just a puppet. A container that cannot move. Besides staring and worrying about Bai Chen. There is nothing Jiro Yukutake can do. The only thing he can do is to pray for Bai Chen to have a backup plan. Before being swallowed up. A desperate counterattack. Extreme counterattack. In turn, reverse the suppression. At the same time, just when outsiders feel anxious or even desperate. Bai Chen, who is the party involved? In fact, the expression is not very relaxed. At this moment, Tashiro's face showed a solemn expression. I have to admit, I still underestimated the strength of the Spirit King's power. This level of power, it is already the ultimate level in the Shinigami world. There is a clear difference between my spiritual power and my current stage. Bai Chen frowned. He took the initiative to admit his carelessness. To be honest, if it weren't for the ultimate sage body's constant support. I'm afraid it was just this short gap. He can no longer hold on any longer. And only after experiencing it personally. Only then did Bai Chen understand it better, in the original plot. Why did the Spirit King's right hand appear after it appeared? Passed through the soul shielding film and arrived at the Soul King's palace. And after Kurosaki Ichigo and others were kicked out of the Soul King's palace. Still dare to rely on one's own strength. Take the initiative to launch an offensive and try to devour Yuhabach. At the end of the day, it's because the Spirit King is so powerful. Even if it's just a part of the power. It is not an ordinary soul that can be broken easily. But, although I almost overturned because of my carelessness. But Bai Chen has actually been prepared to deal with it a long time ago. I didn't expect that. 3 Tomo Sharingan activated in battle for the first time. The target of the confrontation and battle is actually the right hand of the Spirit King. In the green spiritual power. At the time of retreat after defeat. Without hesitation, Bai Chen started 3 Tomo Sharingan. In an instant. Boom. An extremely powerful and extraordinary power. Suddenly, a turbulent explosion burst out from the torrent of spiritual power. The oppression of darkness was dispelled in just a moment. And the space inside the Kido barrier became vaguely distorted. Face this sudden change. Be it Jiro Yukutake or the 3 people outside the barrier. Everyone was shocked by the power of 3 Tomo Sharingan. And when they suppressed the inexplicable fear of unknown power. When looking at Bai Chen in horror. But I was shocked to find it. Right in front of Bai Chen. The original emerald green spiritual power is flowing. Suddenly separated by a strange red light. Dark red Reiatsu appears out of thin air. And it quickly condensed into shape under the horrified eyes of everyone. In just a few breaths. The dark shadow on the Soul King's right hand has changed. It looks almost the same style, and even weirder. 3 huge ones. Black solid rotating Magatama. What is this? A black Magatama with powerful pupil power. Why did I just glance at them? I actually feel dizzy and in a trance. What exactly does Bai Chen want to do? Could he be planning? Use these 3 black Magatama to control the Soul King's right hand. This moment, look at the mysterious and strange giant black Magatama. Jiro Yukutake and others only felt their scalps numb. It's like being trapped in an illusion. The illusion that the soul is dominated. Chapter 114 Black Spiritual Power. Life Level Advancement. Advertise here. The huge black Magatama. It looks even weirder and scarier than the black shadow on the Spirit King's right hand. And what's up with that looming and powerful pupil power? I just looked up. There is actually a kind of trance and the illusion that the consciousness is controlled. This moment, look up at the sky. Those three huge, black rotating Magatama. Jiro Yukutake is also good. Shiba Kaien outside the barrier, three of them. Their bodies are shaking. Everyone was so frightened by this strange scene that their pupils shook. Unable to stop the cold sweat. Fortunately, Bai Chen has a backup plan. But this kind of skill is similar to illusion. Is it an ability awakened by Zanpakutō? Bai Chen's dual system Zanpakutō has too many tricks. Jiro Yukutake had a complicated expression. Couldn't help but sigh. Let's not talk about Muji's healing power, which is stronger than Kaido. Just the skill of illusion. Throughout Gote 13, the Shinigami who controls this ability. It can almost be said that there are very few. What's even more exaggerated is Bai Chen attempts hypnosis, the goal of control, but the right hand of the legendary Soul King. Regardless of whether it succeeds in the end. Bai Chen's bold and crazy move. Already deeply shocked Jiro Yukutake. His three senses exploded. And what shocked everyone even more was boom. Rotate with Magatama. The violent expansion of pupil power is disordered. It originally presented a one-sided repressive situation. There was a reversal in an instant. Above midair. The dark spiritual power that had swallowed everything before was flowing. Suddenly it was strangely still. Because the Soul King's right hand was hit by hypnosis. It was originally hostile, but from the moment the black Magatama appeared. He has been controlled by illusion. That's why the Spirit King's power was also immobilized. At this time, the entire ancient dojo was in midair. Because the dark spiritual power is still. It's as if a black ancient scroll has been spread out. Weirdness is revealed everywhere. It's heart-pounding and unsettling. Bai Chen actually did it. He actually gave the will of the Soul King's right hand to hypnosis. This kind of eye power is too impressive. Watching all this. The eyes of Shiba Kaien and the other three people flew out. They just heard the word, Spiritual King. I couldn't help but be so scared that my body was shaking non-stop. But what about Bai Chen? Not only against the power of the Spirit King. It was even more unexpected, directly using illusions to control the opponent. Such behavior, even if you see it with your own eyes. The three of them, Shiba Kaien, still feel very unreal. Their brains also become blank. He froze in place for a short period of time. And at this time, just when outsiders' views explode. As the person involved, Bai Chen has completely different emotions at this moment. First, because of the emergence of three Tomo Sharingan. Bai Chen's eyes are no longer pitch black. Around the pupils of the eyes. The eyeshadow is dark red. Three black Magatama, slowly rotating. The huge pupil power that dominates the entire scene spreads out from it. Knew it, through the illusion power of three Tomo Sharingan. The Spirit King's right hand and its spiritual power were directly immobilized. Bai Chen grinned. He showed a satisfied smile. Open your eyes in actual combat for the first time. And the enemy is the right hand of the Spirit King, who is superior to the captain-level combat power. Now this effect, it can be said to be a perfect score. But, Bai Chen also knows very well in his heart. Illusion holds the body. Why it works. The main thing is a surprise. And the willpower of the Spirit King level. It doesn't take a long time to control it. The current situation seems to be reversed. In fact, the time left for Bai Chen is very limited. He must do it before his pupil power fails. Take the opportunity to apply the power of Muji healing. All covered and penetrated into Jiro Yukutake's body. And next, just regenerate the lungs. If you lose it and find it again. Then the original sacrifice is lost. The will of the Spirit King's right hand. Only then may they be completely deported. Of course. What the follow-up results will be is still unknown. Bai Chen also has no ability to predict the future. The only thing he hoped for. It's about delivering on your promise. Completely heal the remains of Jiro Yukutake. Let this century-old Shinigami captain still have regrets. Retake it. It originally belonged to him. Peak power that has never been shown before the world. So, boom. Under Bai Chen's conscious control. Since there is no longer any suppression. The spiritual power of Zanpakutō, Wood Dragon, becomes powerful again. From top to bottom, like an upside-down waterfall. All tilted and covered Jiro Yukutake. And through the capillary blood pours on the skin surface. This allows the power of Muji healing to continuously penetrate into the body. The healing process has finally begun. Will it succeed? Outside the Kido barrier, Shiba Kaien three people, keep your eyes open. Reflected in his eyes was Jiro Yukutake sitting cross-legged on the ground. A figure radiating green light all over. As a subordinate. A trusted confidant, Shiba Kaien and the three of them hope that a miracle can happen. Fortunately, they didn't even have time to pray. Didn't have to wait too long. Not even a minute. The power of Muji's healing was immediately apparent. Yes, you read that right. Captain Jashiro's hair color. It actually turned black again. Almost to the point of breaking the sound. Shiba Kaien and the three of them stared with their eyes wide open. The eyes revealed horror and disbelief. At this time. In their sight, the miracle I prayed for actually happened. Jashiro Yukutake's hair. Those white hairs that are scattered and hanging down due to lack of energy and blood. Start from the root of your hair. Miraculously rejuvenated. It is no longer pale, but has a jet black color. Although black is only a small part at the moment. But this also means, under the influence of the Muji healing ability, Jashiro Yukutake has a sick body that has been tortured for hundreds of years. Become energetic again, subsequently, as the time goes. It's not just hair color. Jashiro Yukutake's face. It also became rosy again. Even to the end, when the powerful breath of life. After spreading to the internal organs of the body. Jashiro Yukutake could not hide his excitement. Uncontrollably excited cheers. Reborn. My lungs are literally regenerated. All the internal organs are as if they were reborn. Every cell in the body is full of vitality. Jashiro Yukutake became more and more excited as he spoke. Even in the end, because the spiritual body became healthy again. Even if he didn't intentionally perform Reiatsu. JJ. Boom. Lung organ. Lost and found. Jashiro Yukutake's status. Because the spiritual body has become healthy, it has reached an unprecedented peak of strength. An extremely powerful wave of Reiatsu. Suddenly, it burst out from his body. Because the momentum is too strong. In the process of rising violence. He simply broke free from the suppression from the Spirit King's right hand. Make Jashiro Yukutake. From the original state of being unable to move. It was so easy to regain the right to control my body. And this series of changes. Everyone present, including Bai Chen, couldn't help but marvel. This is not a cure at all. This directly gives Captain Jashiro a second life. Shiba Kaien looked shocked. My vision and outlook were once again strongly impacted. Even if you see it with your own eyes. It still felt unreal to him. To know about Jashiro Yukutake's condition. 0. Please give me flowers. But even Unohana Retsu is helpless. I didn't expect that. Bai Chen's medical skills. It can be so powerful. It's just a heaven-defying change of destiny. At this time. Shiba Kaien can't even help but wonder. Bai Chen and Unohana Retsu, who is the real healing captain? That's outrageous. Very good. From now on, Captain Jashiro, I will never have to suffer from illness again. Seeing Jashiro Yukutake's condition getting better and better. Katetsu Kion recovered from the shock. I almost cried with joy, so happy for Jashiro Yukutake. At the same time, when looking at Bai Chen again, Katetsu Kion's eyes were filled with gratitude and gratitude. In the eyes of this simple-minded girl, what Bai Chen did just now was no less than saving the world. Give Huch Qingyan an indelible mark. A lasting impression that will last a lifetime. But, just when everyone was immersed in an atmosphere of joy. Bai Chen is a party involved. Although I am also happy for the rebirth of Jashiro Yukutake. But, what he cares about most right now. This is also the original intention of this healing, to plunder the power of the Spirit King. It's time. Activate the secret technique of wood style now. It will definitely be able to absorb and plunder dark spiritual power in the shortest possible time. This thought came to mind. Bai Chen didn't hesitate at all. Raise your hand. Hold the knife. Zanpakutō stands upright in front of him. After injecting Reiatsu into the hilt, the secret of wood style is activated instantly. Technique. Wood dragon. Plunder. A soft drink. The secret technique of wood style is activated. With the majestic emerald green Reiatsu. Trees and vines that grow, twine, and spread in abundance. Among the firelight and electric stones. Surrounded by dark spiritual energy from all directions without blind spots. And it soon spread to the black shadow on the Soul King's right hand. With the secret technique of wood style, it can absorb spiritual power. While plundering like crazy. While constantly absorbing and integrating the power of the Spirit King. And this scene. Bai Chen's audacious behavior. Of course, it once again caused exclamation. Obviously I joined the team less than half a year ago, and I just became Shinigami. How dare you directly pursue the idea of the Soul King's right hand? Bai Chen is too crazy. Jashiro Yukutake fear. Even though the hair color has been more than half, it has become jet black again. But, in the current tense atmosphere, he didn't feel any joy at all. Jashiro Yukutake couldn't help but feel worried. Praying for Bai Chen's, playing with fire, behavior. Don't let anything happen. After all, this involves the legendary Spirit King. In case anything goes wrong, what serious consequences will result? Jashiro Yukutake doesn't even have the courage to try to imagine. Ever since, in an almost suffocating atmosphere, the process of spiritual power plundering continues quietly. Of course, considering that the pupil power will fail at any time. Bai Chen is on full fire. Release Reiatsu with all his strength. Maximize the speed of the looting process. Finally. While everyone is waiting in agony, the dark spiritual power that originally occupied almost the entire ancient dojo was flowing. At this time, the scale has obviously shrunk a lot. This also means that the power of the Spirit King's right hand has become weaker. Feat. After absorbing the power of the Spirit King. Reiatsu of Zanpakutō, Wood Dragon. It originally had an emerald green luster-like glass. But the transformation happened directly. Because of changes in intensity and advancement in levels. First it turned into dark green. Then the color deepens and transforms further. In the end, it turned into the same black color as the Soul King's power. And this also means, after absorbing the power of the Spirit King, Bai Chen's spiritual power sublimated. Reiatsu's complete advancement. No matter the strength or density. Taken to a whole new level. From now on, no matter what enemy you face, Shinigami is also good. Arankar is also good, as long as it is below the realm of the spiritual king. They all have natural and absolute suppressive power. Chapter 115 A murder case in this world. Zubai's murderous act. Spiritual power sublimated. Reiatsu advanced. After absorbing the power of the Spirit King. Bai Chen's strength has once again become stronger visible to the naked eye. It's not just the strength of Reiatsu. Even the color is changed from the original emerald green. It directly turned into the same black color as the Soul King's power. It looks deeper. The sense of oppression it brings is twice as obvious as before. As this evolved, it's hard to tell just by observing with the naked eye. The gap between Bai Chen's Reiatsu and the power of the Soul King is huge. Jiro Yukutake was stunned. He lowered his head and looked around. Watch those as the healing process comes to an end. And the dark spiritual power that escaped from his body after transformation. There was an indescribable feeling of shock in my heart. Although the treatment process is full of twists and turns. But besides regenerating his lungs and returning to the top, Bai Chen is a rescuer. On the contrary, greater benefits were obtained. For such a result, Jiro Yukutake was surprised at the same time. I am also sincerely happy for Bai Chen. After all, ordinary souls, even captain-level Shinigami. Unless it is with the help of some external force. Or a taboo method that is not allowed within Seraiti. If not, no matter how long you practice, there will always be limitations and bottlenecks. And in the end, the pinnacle of Shinigami is already awesome. Zato. F equals, without crossing the line. Just by helping outsiders heal once. Bai Chen did it easily. It's something that countless people, even Aizen, dream of. Now, if not grateful, thanks to Bai Chen for his full treatment. I'm afraid even Jiro Yukutake can't help but feel envious. For his sigh, Bai Chen simply chose to ignore it. After putting away his satisfied smile, he raised his head again and stared at the sky. He fixed his gaze on the dark shadow on Reiatsu's right hand. Now the goal has been achieved. Then it's time to make this huge shadow disappear. Despite what Bai Chen said, after being heard by any outsider, you will definitely break into a cold sweat in an instant. But, Bai Chen's expression right now is very relaxed. No longer like before, with a frown and a solemn expression. On the contrary, he looks very at ease. Obviously. When the spiritual power is at the same level, Bai Chen is fully confident that he can suppress the right hand of the Spirit King in turn. Until this huge shadow completely dissipates. And the will of the Spirit King's right hand fell into deep sleep again. Captain Jiro, I'll ask you to cooperate with me next. Look back. Bai Chen looked at Jiro Yukutake. He reminded me deliberately in a commanding tone. No problem. Since my lungs were regenerated, my strength has been continuously getting stronger. Now I not only have enough ability to protect myself. And I can also contribute my own strength. Jiro Yukutake nodded. He said with confidence and determination in his eyes. Despite being a fanatical believer in the one-eyed god tier. But after miraculously reaching peak strength, compared to mindless worship of the Soul King's right hand. At this moment Jiro Yukutake is more inclined to choose reason. That is to say, let this happen as soon as possible. Back to the original track. The end is over, subsequently. It didn't take too long. With Jiro Yukutake to cooperate. Bai Chen became even more skillful, constantly suppressing the flow of the Spirit King's power. Finally, without changing any results, utilize Ultimate's pupil power, hypnosis. Make the will of the Spirit King's right hand. He fell into a deep coma again. Although the result remains unchanged. Still possessed by Jiro Yukutake's body. But, boarding is different from before. No need to overdraw any vitality anymore. It will not have any impact on the current situation of Jiro Yukutake. It's a boarding house. They also coexist with each other. For such a result, Jiro Yukutake is also happy to accept it. He still hopes to become the substitute for the Soul King's right hand. Just like it has been for hundreds of years. Be prepared to sacrifice though. 3 days later, even though Bai Chen had warned him in advance. Regarding this special treatment, try to keep it as low-key as possible. No need to make a big deal about it within Seraiti. Yeah, with Jashiro Yukutake appearing in public. When I saw that side of him, it took 3 days to cultivate. After my hair actually became jet black and translucent. The whole Seraiti was a complete sensation. Everyone is excited about this news. Caught up in hot discussions. And the Aizen trio. Nature is no exception. At this time, the 5th Division team building. In that hidden underground base. Captain Aizen. The situation is getting worse. Although it is not clear yet what kind of benefits Bai Chen has obtained from Jashiro Yukutake. But his growth rate and his various performances during this period. It's getting more and more appalling. Ichimaru Jin narrowed his eyelids slightly. The tone of voice when speaking at this moment. It is no longer the usual way of deliberately picking up the fox tone. But a rare heavy tone. Obviously, although he has been playing the role of undercover. However, facing Bai Chen, who has risen rapidly in a short period of time at an astonishing speed. Ichimaru Jin was still subconscious and couldn't help but worry. Just in case. Bai Chen's excessive growth. It brought an uncontrollable accident. This affects his ultimate goal of killing Aizen. So how to deal with it? To this, Ichimaru Jin couldn't help but feel a little worried. After all, up to now, the relationship between him and Bai Chen is very strange. It can even be said to be unfriendly. In this situation, take the character of Ichimaru Jin. It is even more impossible to hide it from Aizen and take the initiative to communicate with Bai Chen in private. And look for opportunities for cooperation. In Ichimaru Jin's opinion, the risks of doing so. It is far worse than the original plan, for him to come to the people himself. FFLX. Although he and Aizen have been getting along with each other in intrigues. But Ichimaru Jin's current state of mind. Still prefer the Aizen side. That's why I sighed from the bottom of my heart in the opening scene. And faced with Ichimaru Jin's worries, Aizen stood with his hands behind his hands, standing indifferently in front of the monitoring screen. Under reflective lenses that are refracted by the bright light from the screen. Aizen's eyes, flashing slightly, although his facial expression remained as indifferent as ever. The worries of Aizen are also the worries of Aizen. After a while of silence, Aizen finally responded. Quote. Regarding the strengthening and improvement of Zubai, how is the current progress? Aizen turned slightly. He glanced sideways at Tusen Kanami behind him. Lord Aizen. Feeling Aizen's gaze on you. Tusen Kanami bent down and responded respectfully. Everything goes well during this time. After continuous improvements and the installation of a new hollow module. The new version of Zubai has at least Vasto Lord level combat power. And it also has infinite possibilities for growth. When the name, Shu Bai, is mentioned, Tusen Kanami's dark face. Immediately, an extremely enthusiastic expression emerged. It's as if he is mentioning a perfect piece of art that he can't put down. Is it convenient to take a look now? About Zubai's research base, it seems to be at the Rukongai border, right? Aizen made a sudden request. Captain Aizen, did you hear that correctly? You actually changed your mind and offered to decentralize the research base. Ichimaru Jin raised his eyebrows in surprise. Aizen has been leading the hollow experiment behind the scenes. But, specific operation process, it has always been left to Tusen Kanami to follow up. Aizen rarely interferes and heads to the remote hollow base. It can be seen, a series of butterfly effects caused by Bai Chen. It has directly affected Aizen's state of mind. He can no longer sit still. I can no longer sit back and watch with peace of mind. Silver, you cannot approach Bai Chen abruptly. And in the case of showing Zanpakutō, Shikai, in front of him. Do you have any other better way at the moment? Aizen asked coldly and ruthlessly. Original. The reason why he is calm and confident. I just think that it will be a long time in the future. You will always find the right opportunity to liberate Zanpakutō in front of Bai Chen. So it's settled once and for all. With the power of Kyoka Suigetsu. Control Bai Chen's 5 senses. Yeah, ever since I was on the Shuangji Hill. After witnessing the battle between Bai Chen and the captain. Aizen suddenly realized, putting aside the power of 5 senses hypnosis. His biggest advantage right now is the power to stand at the top of Shinigami. What if you were facing Bai Chen? It seems that it no longer has an overwhelming power advantage. Just because I realize the seriousness of the matter. Only then will Aizen focus on the matter of hollow. If only we could imitate the past operations against Hiroko Shinji and his group. Force Bai Chen into the hollow. And use it to frame him. B. Even if you can't control Bai Chen with your strength. He can also kill people behind the scenes and expel Bai Chen from Soul Society. Nah, Lord Aizen, I didn't say anything. Aizen looked at him coldly. Ichimaru Jin shrugged and changed the subject directly. But, if we decide to activate Zubai, we can't just put it on the fringes of Rukongai anymore, right? Ichimaru Jin asked warily. Certainly. The last invasion of Espada has attracted the great attention of Room 46. If the same thing happens again, no matter how stupid those dying guys are, I am bound to realize that there is a mastermind behind the scenes. Aizen said in a determined tone. So, Captain Aizen, listening to your tone, you have already chosen a suitable location, right? Ichimaru Jin asked with a smile. This world. But not Karakura Town, but the nearby Naruki city. And several other small cities. Aizen replied without thinking, even though we know Karakura Town is a land of heavy spirits. And the Shinigami who defected in the past are likely to live in seclusion here. But, in order to avoid alerting the enemy. Also in order to let Shubai start up. Let's do some killing first, and then gradually awaken and become stronger. Aizen finally made a prudent decision. It's better to avoid the sensitive city of Karakura Town for now. And it's because of this decision, leading to the cities near Karakura Town in the future. Suddenly, a Shinigami appeared who were stationed in the real world. Horrible rumors that frighten people. This world. Especially on rainy nights, there will be a monster that likes to hunt Shinigami. Once you are targeted by it, he will be brutally beheaded. His body will be split into two halves. And later, when murders happen one after another. There were indeed quite a few who were stationed at Shinigami and were massacred. This matter really attracted the attention of Gote 13. Chapter 116 Masked Legion Stronghold. Sign into Sage Mode. Advertise here. The 10th Division Team Building. There was peace in the team. Although it looks no different than usual. J.A. Matsumoto Rangaku is processing team documents in front of the wooden case. At this moment, Lu's eyebrows were furrowed high. After reading several intelligence documents from this world in succession, his expression turned into a frown. Why is this happening? It's only been a little over a month. Including Naruki City, Akita City, and Shiba City. More than a dozen Shinigami stationed in this world have died mysteriously one after another. This situation is very wrong. To the end, Matsumoto Rangaku felt a chill behind him. As the adjutant of the 10th Division, it is the patrol guards. Regarding some situations in this world. Over the years, Matsumoto Rangaku has known it all. In general, because of the void that appears in this world. Most of them are very weak and do not pose much of a threat. Even if they are sent to the present world for garrison. Most of them are low-level Shinigami, not even chief officers. You can still carry out security patrols in this world with ease. And in the past few decades, there have indeed been several instances of injuries sustained in battles with hollows. But there is no precedent for death! Exclamation mark. This is why. The moment I saw this information, the reason why Matsumoto Rangaku's expression suddenly changes dramatically. In just 1 month, but an unprecedented bloody murder occurred in the past 100 years. As the deputy captain of the 10th Division, Matsumoto Rangaku not only feels a great responsibility. And a woman's sixth sense made her realize that this thing was unusual. The intuitive Matsumoto Rangaku, I smelled a conspiracy in 03. But, is it a coincidence? Or is it just such a coincidence? His eyes scanned every piece of information one by one. Matsumoto Rangaku frowned and murmured to himself in horror. Why is the place where the murder happened? They happen to be the small cities surrounding Karakura Town. On the contrary, Karakura Town, which is a heavy spiritual place, survived. After accidentally discovering this detail, Matsumoto Rangaku frowned, almost squeezing into a ball. She was even more convinced because of this. The occurrence of these murders is definitely not a simple attack version, but a complete conspiracy. Someone is deliberately manipulating all of this behind the scenes. And this time, just further on Matsumoto Rangaku. When you want to continue analyzing along this line of thinking. Suddenly, bang, the door to the team room opened. Shiba is back after going out. Captain Shiba. You came back just in time. I was sorting out the team documents just now. The reports coming from this world make me feel that the situation is very serious. After meeting Shiba Izshin, Matsumoto Rangaku stood up quickly. Before the other party could react, the report was handed directly to him. Isn't it right? In more than a month, more than 10 murders occurred. This is too exaggerated. It was just a glance. It turns out that Izshin Shiba is acting like a fool. My eyes widened immediately. He showed an expression of disbelief and shock. Rangaku, why did such a serious accident happen? You didn't tell me until now. Shiba was anxious. There is no longer any leisurely mood like usual. Instead, which was rare, he coldly questioned Matsumoto Rangaku. But, his questioning voice, it just came out of the throat. He immediately attracted Matsumoto Rangaku's contemptuous eyes. Captain. You have the nerve to mention it. You are lazy every day. You don't know where to go and fool around all day long. If you hadn't kept putting it away, it wouldn't have piled up like a mountain. Matsumoto Rangaku shows no mercy. He directly confronted Shiba's face. He almost raised his pink fist angrily and blasted him. 89. Matsumoto Rangaku was not wrong. The reason why she didn't start processing reports on the present world until now. It's because a person's energy is limited. It's impossible to have to oversee the daily operations of the 10th Division again. At the same time, he also has to handle team affairs part-time. Coupled with Shiba's single-minded character, he was promoted to captain of the Ganbon team not long after. So he immediately became a hands-off shopkeeper. Leave everything to Matsumoto Rangaku. Only inadvertently. It further contributed to the occurrence of murders. This makes Bai carry out massacres unscrupulously in this world. Quote. I admit, it's my fault. It was my negligence that indirectly led to so many murders. He sighed helplessly. A look of remorse flashed across Shiba's eyes. Captain, what should we do now? Matsumoto Rangaku asked with a solemn expression. Check. We must investigate clearly, until the truth comes out. Otherwise, I, the captain of the 10th Division, would have no shame in continuing. Finished. Before Matsumoto Rangaku could respond, Shiba turned around immediately. He hurriedly walked towards the door of the team room. Seeing that he was about to leave, Matsumoto Rangaku couldn't help but stop. Hey, wait, Captain, where are you going now? Aren't you discussing something? Where to go? Of course to the present world. Stop. Shiba wanted to look back. He forced a smile and said, instead of making random guesses and worries here, it is better to go directly to the present world to investigate. Isn't this what a Shinigami captain should do? Although deliberately acting very relaxed. And at the end, Shiba Isen deliberately showed a funny expression. But, in fact, he knows it very well. This incident, the risk factor is huge. The only person suitable to investigate is myself, the Shinigami captain. Shiba will leave in a hurry if he only has his heart set. He plans to go to this world alone. But, even though he knew Shiba's concerns, Matsumoto Rangaku couldn't help but persuade him to calm down first. Captain Shiba, have you forgotten? Captain-level Shinigami. Anyone who wants to go to the real world must first report to the first team. After obtaining permission, you must also limit your spiritual power. Only then will you be officially released by the realm crossing gate. Word by word, Ling Ting's team rules were spoken in a deep voice. Matsumoto Rangaku urged anxiously, I know you care about the safety of your team members. But if you go to this world without authorization, you will definitely be held accountable by the captain afterwards. Don't forget that the Hueco Mundo expedition is coming soon. These are sensitive times. Once Room 46 is held accountable for this, it can range from a double heavy fine to a severe punishment. A more serious one could end up like Kuretsuchi Mayuri. Matsumoto Rangaku doesn't want to be at this juncture. Watch helplessly as Shiba makes mistakes. Then what can we do? If you can't go to this world to investigate in person. In case someone else who replaces me encounters something unexpected again during the investigation. Wouldn't it be wrong again and again? Shiba gritted his teeth. He no longer cares about so much. He turned around anxiously and left. But, when Matsumoto Rangaku said a person's name, Shiba stopped immediately when he thought. At the same time, his eyes widened in surprise. Bai Chen, as the third seat of the 13th Division. If he wants to go to the real world, he doesn't need to deliberately report it. And the 13th Division is a purification team. I will go to this world from time to time to perform purification tasks. So, just look for Bai Chen. He is undoubtedly the most suitable candidate. These words of Matsumoto Rangaku. Isshin Shiba was immediately awakened and his consent was obtained. That's right. Bai Chen has a record of defeating Vasto Lord Arankar. Even in the report, the so-called hunting Shinigami monster has unknown strength and terrifying power. Bai Chen will definitely be able to deal with it calmly and with ease. After the discussion is completed, Shiba changed his mind. No more going to this world alone. Instead, he rushed to Division 13. I came to my door in person and asked Bai Chen for help. Soon after arriving at the 13th Division, with the help of nephew Shiba Kyan, Shiba easily found Richen. And tell the whole story. And your own difficulties and requests. Everything was told to Bai Chen in every detail. A murder that happened in this world. A monster that hunts Shinigami on rainy nights in 727. After listening to Shiba Ishin's narration, in Bai Chen's mind, it immediately appeared. Shu Bai's black body with sharp horns on its head. Is it because you were stimulated some time ago? That's why Aizen couldn't wait and started Shu Bai's killing process in advance, right? Bai Chen sneered. In his impression, it is in the original plot. Kiyoshiro will be around 20 years later, and after Hitsugaya Toshiro joins the team. Only then will he start killing in this world. Hitsugaya Toshiro has not been discovered yet. And the time points don't match up either. Bai Chen guessed it immediately. It's because of his series of amazing performances some time ago. Unintentionally causing the butterfly effect again. This forced Aizen to temporarily change his original plan. And just when Bai Chen was deep in thought, Shiba's pleading voice came to my ears. So, Bai Chen, you will definitely not refuse my request, right? Shiba asked sincerely. He just wanted to be shameless and begged Bai Chen to agree to it. However, just when Bai Chen was about to answer. But suddenly he was stunned. Then he showed an expression of extreme surprise. But because, just now, in Bai Chen's mind, following the successful sign-in in the Great Spiritual Book Corridor last time, the system prompt sounded again. Ding. New check-in task released. There is no time limit. Please go to Karakura Town in the real world. The stronghold where the Masked Legion is located, and check in. After signing in, you will receive a special reward, Sage Mode Advanced Version of Hollow. Hear a beep. After reading the text content again, Bai Chen's eyes instantly burst into intense light. Finally signed into Sage Mode. And it is an advanced version of Hollow after system improvements. After integrating the power of the Spiritual King, the spiritual power has been sublimated and advanced. Think of this. In Bai Chen's eyes, a fiery look ignited. This time I am preparing to break the boundaries between Shinigami and Hollow. Chapter 117 The Spirit Disguises Itself. Sneak into the real world. Sign in for magic. Advertise here. Sage Mode. The system is preparing me to break Shinigami's boundaries. Hear a beep. Take another look at the text. Bai Chen's black eyes suddenly burst into light. Toshiro also had an expression of ecstasy on his face. Original. Sign 3 Tomo Sharingan. And after mastering the basic illusion, Bai Chen's only weakness, the last shortcoming, has been fixed. It didn't take long. The check-in system is once again the icing on the cake. Bai Chen was instantly full of expectations for this sign-in reward. Because, even in the ninja world, Grandmaster Sage Mode, not many people master magic. The most important is, in Sage Mode, by absorbing a certain amount of natural energy, the celestial magic chakra that is fused and created can make one's own ninjutsu, taijutsu, and illusion powerful in all aspects. I got a huge improvement in an instant. Of course. Any skill move, there may be disadvantages, just like Sage Mode, in the process of drawing on natural energy. Once you are slightly careless, it will be because of the inability to maintain the balance of the magical chakra. This leads to severe petrification. But, Bai Chen doesn't need to worry about these issues at all. With the strengthening and transformation of the system, Sage Mode is completely transformed into local spiritual power. It will only give exponentially increased spiritual power. And there won't be any side effects. Not to mention that like Hollow, you won't worry about the origin of the soul growing inside. There are no disadvantages. It will only give you incomparable power. The only pity is, without a clear reminder, how long Sage Mode can last and how long it should. But it must have something to do with my spiritual power, right? Think of this. The curve of expectation at the corner of Bai Chen's mouth deepened. His spiritual power has just been upgraded and evolved. No matter the strength or quality, Bai Chen has full confidence and can withstand consumption. If you think about it this way, Bai Chen couldn't help but boldly think about it. Is there a possibility his Sage Mode can be maintained indefinitely? Equivalent to energy perpetual motion machine. There is no time limit. In this case, it is truly an advanced version of Hollow. At the same time, looking at Bai Chen's expression, the smile gradually becomes joyful, excited, and even full of expectation. Isshin Shiba has just submitted a commission request. Bai Chen was immediately stunned by his overreaction. I wipe it. Was Bai Chen so looking forward to entering this world? If I had known this earlier, when making a request, there is no need to worry about being rejected. When I think about it, I was too impatient just now. I almost knelt on the ground and begged Bai Chen to agree. Shiba couldn't help but laugh. Fortunately, I restrained myself just now and didn't do anything embarrassing. Otherwise, if word gets out in the future, that would make the entire Gote 13 a laughing stock. At the same time, Bai Chen also came to his senses. After calming down and no longer being agitated, Bai Chen looked at Shiba Yishin. He nodded solemnly and agreed. Captain Shiba. As for this matter, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Although I can't guarantee a specific time, but I will definitely investigate the matter as soon as possible. And find out the monster hunting Shinigami behind him. Bai Chen said confidently. He was sure that once he went to the present world, his traces would be exposed. You will definitely be targeted by Aizen immediately. By then, even if Bai Chen didn't deliberately search for it. Under the secret control of Aizen, Shu Bai will definitely come to your door on a rainy night. And in the dark night, launch a secret attack on Bai Chen. Then it becomes, if you personally participate in the investigation, the truth behind the scenes will surely come to light. Shiba Isshin praised him first. Immediately his expression became depressed, and he sighed with regret. The only regret is, because of the identity restriction of Captain Shinigami. I can't go with you this time. I'm so sorry. Shiba's eyes were full of unwillingness. Although I trust Bai Chen very much, as the captain of the Qian division. Deep in his heart, I still hope I can do it myself. Instead of solving difficulties through the hands of outsiders. Pato, let Shiba do something unexpected. Just when he finished sighing in loneliness, Bai Chen suddenly had an idea. Pretending to be mysterious, he asked, Captain Shiba. If you can sneak into the world quietly without exposing your whereabouts, I don't think you can refuse. Hearing what Bai Chen said, Shiba Isshin suddenly froze, with a look of regret in his eyes. Quickly replaced by doubts and surprises. He quickly asked impatiently, Bai Chen, what do you mean? Is there any way you can make me hide the truth and go with you? Although subconsciously, think it's not very likely. However, Out of trust in Bai Chen, Shiba Yishin couldn't help but have expectations. And Bai Chen's next answer. It made him feel extremely surprised instantly. Bai Chen nodded slightly. A faint smile appeared on his face. Captain Shiba, do you still remember the soul burial internship I participated in this world a few months ago? At that time, at Urahara Kazuki's place, I did some black technology. Including an item called Spirit Mask Clothes. It can conceal the wearer's Reiatsu aura. And if you add Kido, bent light, on top, it will make the whole thing completely transparent. Although Bai Chen is very patient. Explained roughly in detail. But Shiba Ishin was still confused when he heard it. I couldn't help but open my mouth in astonishment. H+. Urahara Kazuki. Black technology prop. You actually hide such a secret. Shiba was stunned. Urahara Kazuki, former captain of Division 12. A person who, together with Hiroko Shinji and others, was expelled from Gote 13 for many years because of the crime of defection. I didn't expect that. It turns out that Bai Chen has already known Urahara Kazuki. But, considering Urahara Kazuki's past alter ego, director of First Generation Technology Development Bureau. Although Ishin Shiba was shocked, he didn't question it too much. He had heard a lot of rumors about Urahara Kazuki. This genius with super brain power. In terms of scientific research and wisdom, it ranks first among the entire Soul Society. What if it was a black technology prop developed by Urahara Kazuki himself? It's really possible to hide the truth. Help yourself to sneak into the world quietly. Let's go. I put the spirit mask clothes in the dormitory. Now go over and put it on, and we can leave for the real world at any time. Bai Chen said hello. He immediately turned around and walked towards the bedroom. Although Shiba Ishin hasn't come around yet. But I still endured the shock and surprise. Follow up quickly. Soon after. Located in front of the crossing gate on the north side of Seraiti. Bai Chen. This black cloak is really magical. I just had a smooth journey all the way here, and no one noticed my existence. The whole body is shrouded in a black cloak. There was an extremely excited expression on Shiba Ishin's face. He is still a little worried. Could it be that Bai Chen deliberately exaggerated the role of spiritual masking clothing? But after the practice just now, Shiba Ishin was completely relieved. 208. This thing is a must-have for Lao Yinbi. With this in the future, you won't have to worry about being stabbed in the back for no reason. Bai Chen said suggestively. So, in Soul Society, except for you. Does anyone else have the same black cloak? Shiba Ishin suddenly felt uneasy. This kind of black technology prop is full of hidden functions. Once it falls into the hands of some evil people, you can secretly monitor it anytime and anywhere. Or was it a sneak attack or assassination? To this, Bai Chen did not answer. He just responded with a meaningful look. Then he changed the topic and said, let's go. Let's not talk about unnecessary topics for now. The top priority is to go to the present world first, time is not on our side. Finished. Bai Chen took one step forward. Passed through the boundary gate first. Shiba Ishin followed closely behind, and the two disappeared into Soul Society together. Soon after, above the city of Seraiti, the gate through the world appeared out of thin air, and two figures stepped out of it. Etc. Bai Chen, didn't you agree to go to Naruki City to investigate? Why did you change the path through Hell Butterfly halfway? Instead, we came to a place where no murders have occurred yet. Although he arrived in the present world successfully. However, there was a puzzled expression on Shiba Ishin's face. He doesn't quite understand. Why did Bai Chen change the plan without authorization? Although Karakura Town is a land of heavy spirits, but the Shinigami stationed here. The past few months have been uneventful. Isn't it a waste of time to come here? Quote. Captain Shiba, I knew you would react like this. Faced with Shiba's insistent questioning, Bai Chen was a bit dumbfounded. He could never confess directly. He said that he was here to complete the sign in task. That's why you deliberately agreed to go to this world, right? Bai Chen thought for a moment. Then he made up an excuse at random. Rangaku must have mentioned it on purpose, right? The places where the murders occurred are all around Karakura Town. This is very unusual. Nuo how. So the place I thought was the safest is actually more dangerous. Then why not just sit back and wait in Karakura Town? Faced with the reasons given by Bai Chen. Although Shiba Ishin still felt that something was not right. But I can't think of any reason to refute it. In desperation, I can only stop questioning and listen to Bai Chen's ideas. How about this? You search to the east, while I set off to the west. 3 hours later, let's meet back here. Then Bai Chen explained it carefully. Soon, Shiba and Shiba decided to separate. And he was finally able to go looking for the Masked Legion's stronghold alone and openly. Fortunately, the last time I left the Urahara store, deliberately inquired about the traces of the Masked Legion. There shouldn't be any changes to their stronghold in a short period of time. The figure traveled through the air at high speed. From memory, the address provided by Urahara Kazuki in the last conversation. After arriving at the outskirts of Karakura Town, Bai Chen didn't waste much time. Soon they arrived near the Masked Legion stronghold. And started checking in. Ding. Official sign in next. The check-in time is 5 seconds. If you exit midway, you will be deemed a failure. After hearing the beep, Bai Chen's eyes became fiery again. Next, wait until the countdown ends to sign in successfully. His strength will skyrocket again. From now on, you will also be able to control the legendary magic. Chapter 118 Uninvited. Battle against the masked army. Quickly, as the 5-second countdown ends. While Bai Chen was waiting expectantly, the system prompt sounded again. Ding. Congratulations host, the sign-in was successful. Get reward. Sage Mode Advanced Version of Hollow. This moment, as the beep falls, Bai Chen clearly felt it in his brain memory bank. A brand new theory and knowledge. It appeared in my mind out of thin air. Bai Chen clearly felt that he was interested in existing in the atmosphere. All those hidden and flowing spirits. Perception and affinity increased more than 100 times in an instant. Even if Karakura Town's spiritual concentration is high. Far less full than Soul Society. But Bai Chen still had a strong feeling. If only he wanted to. Once, Sage Mode is turned on. The entire Karakura Town can be covered in the sky in no time. All the spiritual power is gathered and absorbed. Completely integrated into the body in an instant, merging with the darkness Reiatsu in the body. This is not an illusion. Bai Chen can really do it easily. And this is after system improvement and localization. The power of Shinigami version, Sage Mode. Not bad. No pre-preparation is required. It is not necessary to maintain a still posture to absorb natural energy. There are no limitations and no shortcomings. The Sage Mode I awakened is directly the most perfect version. I have to say that the sign-in rewards are still as awesome as ever. After carefully sensing it, Bai Chen grinned with a satisfied smile. Advanced version of Sage Mode. Just as perfect as expected. Just for the sign-in rewards, this trip will not be in vain. But, unfortunately, there is still no direct reminder of the duration. It seems that only through actual combat can we draw a complete conclusion. He groaned regretfully. Bai Chen quickly put away his thoughts. Then with a sudden thought, I started 3 Tomo Sharingan. As the eye shadow becomes red, 517 and 3 black Magatama emerged. Bai Chen stood in midair, looking down. At the end of his sight. One has a dilapidated appearance. A giant warehouse that looks like an abandoned factory. Even around this building, there is a Kido barrier hidden in the air that is difficult for outsiders to detect. But, with powerful eye power, and the ultimate perception of spiritual beings, Bai Chen was able to figure out the overall appearance of Kido's barrier at a glance. Tisk, is it actually a Bakudo barrier above number 90? It must be the same as the Urahara store. Hachigen spent many years building it, right? # equals. After peeking into the nature of Kido's barrier, the corners of Bai Chen's mouth curled up in a playful arc. Just right. He needs to pass an actual battle. Let's check out the duration of Sage Mode. And the system specially reminded. The Sage Mode he controls. It is an enhanced and advanced version of Hollow. And it just so happens that everyone in the Masked Legion is at the level of a century-old captain. And everyone controls the power of Hollow. It is undeniable. Even though it's in the original plot. The record and performance of the Masked Legion since its debut. It has always been unsatisfactory. They are supposed to be stronger than ordinary Shinigami captains. In the end, he became a tool in Kurosaki Ichigo's growth path. What's even more tragic is, in the period of thousand-year bloody war, the Masked Legion was beaten violently throughout the whole process. One after another, they were killed by the Knights of the Star Cross. Completely reduced to floor-level combat power. Anyone can step on it. But, for the current Bai Chen, the strength of the Masked Legion is just right. Not too powerful. There are a lot of people at the same time. A round-robin battle is possible. Such a choice. Such a combination. He is simply the best sparring tool. Use them to test the strength of Sage Mode. It couldn't be more appropriate. If I guess correctly, I have been staying in this area for a while since I came to this area. Even if we are isolated from the Kido barrier, everyone in the Masked Legion should be able to sense my aura, right? Bai Chen's body slowly declined. After landing smoothly, he threw it towards the door of the abandoned warehouse. If you forcefully break the Kido barrier and invade inside, they should be frightened immediately after seeing me appear, right? While taking steps forward, Bai Chen can already imagine it. When he comes uninvited, crosses the line and shows up. On the faces of everyone in the Masked Legion. What a wonderful expression it will be. At the same time, just when Bai Chen used his pupil power to spy. And the moment we are about to prepare for the invasion. The interior of an abandoned warehouse. As Bai Chen said. As expected, everyone in the Masked Legion sensed his aura. Xiaoba, you didn't feel wrong just now, did you? On the periphery of Kido's barrier. A powerful aura at least captain level appeared out of thin air. Real or fake? The center of the abandoned warehouse. Under the flat peaked cap. Hiroko Shinji's expression is no longer as leisurely as before. And it shows the past hundreds of years. There are already many nervous and solemn faces that are not revealed. Obviously, facing a person with great strength. And there are uninvited guests with unknown origins and temporarily unknown motives. Even in the past 100 years, Hiroko Shinji's character could not be more Buddhist. It's hard to avoid feeling nervous at this moment, even when you're asking questions. One side of his cheek. Cold sweat kept falling down. And even Hiroko Shinji is like this. Not to mention others, Muguruma Kensai, Hiyori Tsurupe and others. He frowned even more directly. My brows are almost wrinkled. Just pull out the Zanpakutō and be ready for battle at any time. Yes, it's true. My perception ability is absolutely impossible to make mistakes easily. And the aura outside the barrier is getting closer and closer. It seems they are planning to break in from the outside. Under short pink hair, Hachigen's face. While speaking, his body was constantly trembling. He showed a worried expression. As the former deputy chief Kido. Although his attainments in Kido are not inferior to those of Tessai Tsukubishi. And on the side of boundary Kido, it has even reached a def ultimate. We are about to face an external invasion at this moment. Especially after sensing Bai Chen's powerful aura. Hachigen's self-confidence was shaken instantly. He didn't even think that he had built the Kido barrier himself for many years. Maybe it really is possible to be broken through. Isn't it? Captain-level combat power. How could Captain Shinigami suddenly land in Karakura Town? And if I remember correctly, whenever they come to this world, they will be required to undergo Reiatsu restrictions beforehand. How could it be as powerful as you sense? Be vigilant and vigilant at the same time. Muguruma Kensai couldn't help but express doubts. He has a hot temper, and when he mentions Captain Shinigami, an expression of impatience immediately appeared on his face. For Captain Shinigami, for Gotei 13 as a whole, they are all filled with hostility and years of hatred. That's right, even if it's not a mistake. Even if we are really being targeted by the Shinigami captains. With the Kido barrier blocking them, they can't easily break through from the outside. Shaoba. Am I right? Tsurupe Hiyori crossed his shoulders with his arms. With his back to the warehouse door, he sneered disapprovingly and said. 2. Hachigen is being stared at by her. I was about to answer, but suddenly I felt like I saw something terrifying. The originally nervous face. Suddenly, he looked like he had seen a ghost in the daytime. Hachigen opened his mouth in shock. He raised his fingers tremblingly and stared at the warehouse door. A look of disbelief. My scalp was numb and I couldn't help but scream. How can this be? While completely circumventing my Reiatsu perception. They actually broke out and invaded from the outside quietly. Who is this guy? How did he do it? At this time. Because I was so shocked and unbelievable, Hachigen's pupils have already dilated to the maximum limit. And in his eyes full of fear. It also reflects the surface of the gate, the Kido barrier that should be hidden in the air. At this moment, it was because of forced invasion. Circles and circles of white waves appeared on the surface. And among these mysterious lines, Bai Chen's figure wearing a black death suit. In the midst of the waves, unscathed, he slowly emerged. Such a weird scene. It's like a disaster movie staged out of thin air. Without being mentally prepared, it almost scared Hachigen into cardiac arrest. And his eyes. Others quickly looked over, after discovering Bai Chen who traveled through time like a ghost. Hiroko Shinji, Muguruma Kensai, Hiyori Tsurupe and other 7 masked captains. His expression changed involuntarily. His expression instantly became extremely embarrassing. And the atmosphere was already dignified enough. Also because of this scalp-numbing scene. And it dropped below freezing in an instant. Low, depressing, and suffocating. This is impossible. The Kido barrier we have worked hard to build for many years. It's not even as good as a film. Tsurupe Hiyori is going crazy. The only remaining confidence collapsed completely at this moment. With her straightforward character and thinking. I simply don't understand how Bai Chen did it. Only then can we ignore the obstruction of Bakudo barrier above number 90. You can actually come in and out easily. It's really unbelievable. Everyone. It seems that the most unexpected scene has happened. It was difficult to recover from the shock. Hiroko Shinji gritted his teeth and stared straight ahead. At the same time, the palm is hidden inside the sleeve robe. It was also placed on top of Zanpakutō quietly. Despite decades of peace. Hiroko Shinji is reluctant to start another conflict. Intuition is good too. What you see is great. No matter how optimistic Hiroko Shinji's attitude is. You can also tell at a glance that there will definitely be a battle next. At the same time, with flooding ripples, Bai Chen is about to fully enter the interior of the abandoned warehouse. Feeling the projection coming towards you. After all, the masked captains looked at me with hostility. The corners of his mouth turned up into a playful smile. Deliberately lowering his voice, he greeted everyone in the masked legion. The Shinigami captains who were expelled and expelled. Suddenly I came uninvited, you don't seem to welcome me. As Bai Chen finished speaking, the scene instantly reached the point of tenseness. Chapter 119 The momentum explodes. Instantly kill the centenary captain. Advertise here. I was forcibly evicted that year. The masked captains who were permanently expelled from Gotei 13. Facing the masked legion, everyone looked at them with hostility. Bai Chen's next provocative words. It intensifies the conflict atmosphere in the abandoned warehouse. Suddenly came uninvited. It seems like you don't welcome me very much. The words fell. Bai Chen's figure was unscathed. It has completely invaded the interior of the abandoned warehouse. And the weird thing is, it's obvious that he came here for forced invasion. But the Kido barrier was not damaged in any way. Not only is it complete as before. There were no abnormal fluctuations in the follow-up. #B5#. It didn't take Hachigen years to build. The man who truly created Kido Keke. Instead, it's Bai Chen. Hiroko. This guy comes with bad intentions. His identity seems to be very complicated. Tsurupe Hiyori frowned. Ability to ignore Bakudo barriers of size 90 and above. That proves that Bai Chen must be a Kido master. His strength in Kido has even reached the level of Chief Kido. Hiyori. Such an obvious thing. No need for you to make a special trip to remind me. This guy has bad intentions. He probably came with some purpose. Although he is often bullied by Hiyori Sarape on weekdays. It even got to the point where he would not fight back when hit or scolded. But, as the leader of the Masked Legion, former captain of Division 5, Aizen's immediate boss at the time. When facing the enemy, Hiroko Shinji is no longer in a bad mood, and his face becomes particularly sad. Showing off his qualities as a leader. Stand up and take a step forward. He stared at Bai Chen and asked coldly. Tell me. What is your identity? Are they the pursuers of Gote 13? Or, the subordinates sent by Aizen? When uttering the last words, Hiroko Shinji's eyes narrowed in a dangerous arc. There was even a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. Although he is not a person who likes fighting or killing. But, anyone or anything involving Aizen. The hatred value will be filled up in an instant. This caused Hiroko Shinji's subconscious desire to kill. And at the same time, just after Hiroko Shinji launched the question. Behind him, other companions, and several other masked captains. After looking at each other, zung, the sound of the sword being withdrawn from the scabbard resounded continuously. And because the abandoned warehouse is too empty. It even sparked a response. Raise your hand, parry. Swing your sword. The tip of every Zanpakutō sword. They all locked onto Bai Chen's figure. Once Bai Chen has any further transgression. Even if Hiroko Shinji didn't give the order. After decades of hard work, the masked captains have already cooperated with each other tacitly. They will also attack in groups in an instant. Launch siege on Bai Chen from all sides. What is my identity? His eyes glanced around. He saw every Zanpakutō in his eyes. Bai Chen didn't show off. I don't intend to hide my identity intentionally. Instead, he told his identity directly and above board. White. The current 3 seats in the 13th division. I officially joined Gote 13 less than half a year ago. So even if you go through Shihuen Yoruichi's channel. I accidentally inquired about the latest trends in Soul Society. Perhaps this person may not have heard of my name. Bai Chen said calmly, and his words instantly caused shock. H+. You heard that right. You are actually only a 3rd seat member. And it's still a division with a very low presence like the 13th division. When did Gote 13 become so powerful? After hearing Bai Chen's self-introduction just now. Including Hiroko Shinji. The first reaction of everyone in the Masked Legion. I just feel shocked and unbelievable. He even subconsciously wondered whether Bai Chen was deliberately deceiving them. After all, everyone present, they are all Captain Shinigami from that period 100 years ago. Even if he hadn't been framed by Aizen. Perhaps until now, they will still be the Shinigami captains at that time. And because he has been the captain of Shinigami for a long time. Out of knowledge about Gote 13. In the impression of everyone in the Masked Legion. 3 seats for each division. Although occasionally there are people like Ichimaru Jin and Shiba Kaien. Just graduated and joined Gote 13. He is a genius who was directly qualified for the 3 seats. But most of the time, 3 seats may not be very strong. The gap between the real captain level combat power is very obvious. It is even more impossible to possess the powerful strength of the Great Kido Chief level. Therefore, even if Bai Chen takes the initiative to tell his identity. But on the contrary, it only deepened the suspicion of the masked captains towards him. So, you are indeed a pursuer sent by Gote 13. The purpose is to completely purify and obliterate those of us who were considered others at the beginning, right? The topic ends here. It can't go on anymore. Even Hiroko Shinji, who has the best temper, can't restrain his murderous intention. Finally, everyone, come on together. Suppress this weird guy in the shortest possible time. Pry all the secrets out of his mouth afterwards. As Hiroko Shinji sips, the 7 companions behind him dispersed in an orderly manner. On the left are Muguruma Kensai and Kuna Mashiro. On the right is Love Aikawa, and Yadomaru Lisa. And in the back is Odoribashi Rojiro in a suit and leather shoes. And put your hands together. Hachigen, who is always ready to chant new chants. Everyone cooperates tacitly. In an instant, people were approaching Bai Chen from all sides. 0. Please give me flowers. In just a few breaths. It has quickly blocked all Bai Chen's escape routes. And holding Zanpakutō, fight and conflict with each other. Until the blade was placed on Bai Chen's hands and feet. Instantly deprived of all rights of action. Bai Chen couldn't even do the simplest movement of raising his hand. Det. Bald Shinigami, so you're only good at Kido. But he seriously lacks combat experience. How could we be subdued so easily? It seems that it is necessary to take back my previous evaluation of you. Hiyori Tsurupe taunted. On one hand, he held the handle of the knife firmly with his palm. Point her Zanpakutō blade upward, seamlessly close to Bai Chen's waist. On his pockmarked face, there was an expression full of disdain and disdain. No more unknown fear of Bai Chen. Instead, he has returned to his usual arrogant attitude. She looks so much like a little girl who lives on the streets all year round. Arrogantly looking down on anyone. And her words trailed off. Hiroko Shinji next to him echoed. That's right. Don't blame me for not warning you beforehand. The blade is not sharp. I don't want to be killed for no reason. I advise you to be honest and not take any unauthorized action. Until we use multiple Bakudo to completely imprison you. Although the attitude is slightly milder. Not to mention while giving a stern warning. Hiroko Shinji's hand movements did not relax at all. But raise your arms. Caress. Zanpakutō against the cold blade. It was directly attached to the surface of Bai Chen's neck. Next, advance forward by half a minute. The blade will cut through the skin, and blood will spurt out instantly. Ito. Face warnings and threats. Bai Chen's expression remains unchanged, but there is no compromise. Instead, he smiled and asked disapprovingly. Everyone from the Masked Legion. It seems that after living in seclusion for so many years, you have almost forgotten your past practical experience. Bai Chen finished speaking. Everyone in the Masked Legion suddenly had a strong feeling of uneasiness in their hearts. But before they could react, Bai Chen's sarcastic words burst out together with Reiatsu. Although the sword has no eyes, but rashly surrounding an enemy that Reiatsu is several times more powerful than yourself. This kind of behavior is directly seeking death. The words fell. A huge black Reiatsu air wave suddenly burst out from Bai Chen's body. Just for a moment, then he directly blew away the masked captains who were surrounding him. Their bodies were severely knocked away. Finally, one after another, they flew out and landed in a panic. That's all, just relying on the strong momentum. Bai Chen even stood still and easily diffused the siege of the masked army. And face his dark spiritual power. Even if he is as strong as the centenary captain, he seems vulnerable at this moment. Corpse. Chapter 120 Hiroko Shinji takes action. An upside-down world. Advertise here. Boom. With the sudden explosion of Reiatsu's air wave. Bai Chen didn't see any movement, he just stayed put. A huge black spiritual power. Then he violently threw away the Shinigami captains. A few seconds later. Bang bang bang. The sound of something heavy falling to the ground. The sound kept ringing one after another. Everyone in the Masked Legion fell from the sky one after another. Everyone fell to the ground in a state of embarrassment. The arm holding Zanpakutō was also damaged due to the collision. And instantly there was a feeling of soreness and swelling. Hateful. What on earth is going on with this Reiatsu wave of energy? How can a mere 3-seat person have such a level of Reiatsu? The intensity of these dark spiritual powers is already comparable to that of Mr. Yamamoto, right? He endured the sore feeling that his bones were about to fall apart. The 8 masked captains gritted their teeth. With great difficulty, I used my wrists to support the ground. With a frightened expression on his face, he climbed up from the smoke and waves. And when staring at the surging black, 687, dark spiritual power in front of me, everyone's eyes flashed violently. In addition to strong fear, there was also an obvious look of fear. And this moment, when the whole body is enveloped in the black Reiatsu air wave. Deep in the hearts of everyone in the Masked Legion. There is an indescribable feeling of fear, like being trapped in a deep claustrophobic sea. Even though Bai Chen didn't deliberately exert pressure. Just to protect yourself, use the Reiatsu air wave to lift everyone away. But he still brought it to everyone in the Masked Legion. Unbearable pressure. Number 3. Just let this group of century-old captains do it. I feel a little out of breath. On the verge of suffocation. This Reiatsu. Is it my imagination? Why do I feel so familiar? Hiroko Shinji frowned. In addition to fear, he realized in a daze. It seems that I met the same Reiatsu somewhere some time ago. When Hiroko Shinji suddenly remembered Bai Chen's dialogue when he introduced himself just now. I just joined Gote 13 about half a year ago. Remember this sentence. Hiroko Shinji instantly showed a dizzy expression. Feeling a little out of control, he couldn't help but exclaimed. A few months ago, that Bai Chen who participated in the soul burial internship with the 6th generation. When saying the name, Bai Chen, Hiroko Shinji had a shocked expression on his face. The tone of exclamation is like mentioning a legendary monster. And his reaction of amazement. Of course, Bai Chen became interested. You actually know me, although there is no direct answer. However, Bai Chen's words were also directly acknowledged. He is Bai Chen, and I did attend a funeral ceremony in Karakura Town a few months ago. Hehe. I'm just saying, it's only a few decades. How could Gote 13's strength have undergone earth-shaking changes? After confirming Bai Chen's identity, Hiroko Shinji breathed a sigh of relief. However, the fearful look on his face did not diminish at all. Then he said in a deep voice, "But what I didn't expect is, Bai Chen, although you are recognized as the strongest genius in history, your talent and potential dwarf the entire Soul Society. But your growth rate is a bit too exaggerated. It's only been half a year. It's already grown to the point where it's close to the peak of Shinigami. It's unbelievable." Hiroko Shinji's expression. It became incredibly complicated in an instant. The reason why he recognized Bai Chen. It's because of the day of the soul burial internship. Hiroko Shinji didn't linger in the abandoned warehouse. But I happened to be out wandering around. When Bai Chen fights two Arankar subordinates, Hiroko Shinji hides his aura. With Reiatsu perception, you can watch the whole battle from a distance. And he went out of his way to find Urahara Kazuki afterwards. I asked him about Bai Chen's detailed deeds. Because you will recognize Bai Chen immediately. Impossible. Has this guy only been a Shinigami for half a year? What kind of monster growth rate is this? Absolutely outrageous. Other companions behind, after hearing Hiroko Shinji's sighing words, they all opened their mouths in astonishment. Looking at Bai Chen, he seemed to be looking at a monster. So, after figuring out the origin of my identity, are you still dreaming of subduing me easily? Carrying a flame fan. The Death Tyrant is equipped with Reiatsu, and the strong wind is making a sound among them. Bai Chen's lips curled up with a confident arc, obviously very satisfied with the shocked expressions of the masked captains. Boy Bai Chen, stop being so proud. It is undeniable that your strength is indeed extremely strong. But I was also the best among the Shinigami captains back then. Don't look down on others so easily. Hiroko Shinji stood up straight. Under the yellow pot lid, his expression gradually became serious. Undeniable. Just now he was shocked by Bai Chen's dark spiritual power. Shock and fear are the same thing. But it doesn't mean that Hiroko Shinji just gave in. As the leader of the Masked Legion, Aizen's only immediate boss. Once put into action, Hiroko Shinji's combat power is also very powerful. Faced with Bai Chen's overwhelming pressure, Hiroko Shinji confidently believes that with Zanpakutō's ability to reverse caress, that weird upside-down power, he must be able to ignore the gap between Reiatsu and directly play Bai Chen, thus regaining the status of the entire Masked Legion. Bai Chen, if I guess correctly, that huge flame fan on your back should be your Zanpakutō, right? Hiroko Shinji lowered his eyes, while curiously inquiring about how Huo Ming fan. While slowly raising his arms, he stood Zanpakutō upright in front of him. He stared at Bai Chen and then said in a deep voice. Although I'm not sure, how on earth do you keep Zanpakutō liberated? But it doesn't matter. The next thing you know, you'll be confused. In the end, I will be easily defeated while feeling dizzy. Finished. Hiroko Shinji grinned. He showed an intriguing and weird smile. Then a thought came to my mind. The spiritual power within the body burst out suddenly. All injected into the inside of Zanpakutō, reverse caress. It was also accompanied by liberation language. Fall down. Counterattack. See this. There is no need for Hiroko Shinji to say hello deliberately. The other members of the Masked Legion consciously retreated and dispersed around them. A one-on-one battlefield is left. Leave Hiroko Shinji alone and write Bai Chen for a duel. At the same time, with the full infusion of Reiatsu, a burst of dazzling light suddenly erupted from the surface of Zanpakutō's reverse caress. Immediately following the tip of the knife handle, it immediately turned into a huge hollow ring. And after the liberation of Zanpakutō, Hiroko Shinji tilted his head. While smiling evilly, he swung the blade regularly. As the blade rotates, it emits a strange light. And it is also accompanied by a special fragrance that is 1.2 light. Oh, since death is less than half a year away, then in the absence of combat experience, the ability of reverse caress will become even more unsolvable and difficult to deal with. Ryori Tsurupe has retreated to a safe area. While deliberately holding your breath. While sneering, he inquired about Bai Chen from a distance. After you notice the aroma dissipating, Bai Chen's immediate reaction was still to keep breathing smoothly. There is no deliberate breath holding. The corners of Sarape Hiyori's mouth curved into a playful arc. Because of the oppression of dark spiritual power. And the feeling of almost suffocation disappeared in an instant. Hiyori Tsurupe couldn't wait to see it. After Bai Chen fell into the upside-down world. All kinds of confusion, and unable to correct fighting habits, and reacting in panic. Only in this way, only then can I vent it out fiercely. Just now we were 1 against 8, but Bai Chen easily reversed the pressure. The frustration and dissatisfaction I endured. Chapter 121 Illusion Counterattack. Turn upside down. Kill each other. Hehe. How about Bai Chen? After my Zanpakutō is liberated. The shape and appearance are not bad, right? It's no worse than the flame fan behind you. After the liberation of Zanpakutō, reverse caress. Hiroko Shinji's self-confidence also increased. He had a smug look on his face. The lightness and looseness of the past have returned again. The look in Bai Chen's eyes was full of teasing. It's no longer like facing a powerful enemy. Instead, it's more like looking at a toy that can be played with at will. And in the face of his verbal provocation, there was no emotion on Bai Chen's face. With an indifferent expression, he obviously doesn't want to talk to Hiroko Shinji. See this. Although I find it very disappointing. But Hiroko Shinji didn't ask for trouble. Instead, he raised a new topic, looked at Bai Chen and asked. Bai Chen, you should have smelled it, right? That fragrant aroma wafting in the air. Hiroko Shinji grinned. There was a sly look in his eyes. So, I smell something. Then what are you going to do next? The tip of his nose trembled slightly. In front of Hiroko Shinji, Bai Chen sniffed his nose deliberately and asked disapprovingly. After seeing his behavior, the proud smile on Hiroko Shinji's face deepened. Tisk. It feels right when you smell it. This means that you three have fallen into the upside-down world. Next, have a good experience. After everything around you is forcibly turned upside down. That painful feeling that you can't escape. Hiroko Shinji's smile turned weird. He did not act in a hurry, but deliberately played with Zanpakutō. Looking forward to Bai Chen next. Will show panic reaction. At the same time, the voices of the companions shouting and cheering came from behind. Hiroko, don't take it lightly. After teasing and enjoying it, kill him immediately. The Shinigami of Gote 13 will always be the enemy of our masked legion. Now that our traces have been completely exposed, we cannot let him return to Soul Society alive. Muguruma Kensai ideographic comma. Love Akawa ideographic comma. Surupe Hiyori is gearing up one by one. I can't wait to intervene in the battle and liquidate Bai Chen immediately. At this time, they don't care at all. Bai Chen's reason for coming and his purpose. The only thought of the masked captains at the moment is to kill Bai Chen immediately. So that their lives can get back on track. Like the stability of the past few decades. No more interruptions from Gote 13 Shinigami. At the same time, Bai Chen is a party involved. The sniffing action was real, and he did so after inhaling the aroma. My brain immediately felt dizzy. And after a slight blink. Bai Chen's visual senses are affected by the inversion power. Wherever the eye can reach, the surrounding scene has undergone earth-shaking changes. Everything is upside down and contrary. The same is true for the figure of Hiroko Shinji standing in front of me. The whole person stood strangely upside down on the lower edge of the ground. It's in an upside-down position. He grinned and laughed at himself from afar. I have to admit, among many Zanpakutō, it is a rare Zanpakutō that can affect the senses and control the nerves. Zanpakutō's reverse caressing ability is indeed very powerful. After experiencing it personally, Bai Chen sighed from the bottom of his heart. If the opponent is not him. Instead, it was replaced by someone else, even the current Captain Shinigami. Without knowing the ability of reverse caress in advance. Once you can't let go of inertia instantly, forced to change long-standing fighting habits in the past. Then you will definitely be tricked by Hiroko Shinji. But, the reason why Bai Chen knowingly committed the crime. When you already know the other party's abilities and details. And deliberately inhaled the aroma. Throw yourself into an upside-down world. It's not that you want to die on purpose. But because. There are 3 Tomo Sharingan here. Bai Chen is not afraid of the senses at all hypnosis. He just needs to open his eyes. Turn on 3 Tomo Sharingan. You will be able to see through the illusion. Use pupil power to correct all negative effects. ... Really in the dark. Instead, it's the masked captains. Tisk. Because I can't understand what is happening in front of me. So you were so panicked that you froze in place. Hiroko Shinji smiled playfully. He mistakenly believed that Bai Chen was standing still. And his expression was calm, as if he was in panic. It's because I feel hopeless and incomprehensible about the ability of reverse caress. That's why the whole person froze in place. To this, Hiroko Shinji is very satisfied. And when the bad taste is satisfied. To avoid accidents. While Bai Chen is still, in a daze. Snap. Hiroko Shinji wields Zanpakutō. The blade wrapped around Reiatsu jumped towards Bai Chen and slashed at him. It is also accompanied by Hiroko Shinji's confident and decisive words. Bai Chen. You have lost. From the moment you inhale the aroma, you are destined to be unable to walk out of this abandoned warehouse. The slash is sharp. Cut the air. He slashed straight at me. In Bai Chen's field of vision, quickly get closer and zoom in. 2. It's a sign that the slash is about to hit. Bai Chen is no longer indifferent, but starts 3 Tomo Sharingan. Swish, swish, swish. Eye power explodes. The eyeshadow turns deep red. Around the pupils of the eyes, black magatama emerged, slowly rotating. When the extremely powerful pupil power suddenly spreads in an instant. Bai Chen's visual sense. No more negative effects. The hypocritical inversion was immediately reversed. Ever since. Right at the edge of Zanpakutō's reverse caress. Just as he was facing him, it stabbed into his body. Bai Chen raised his hand slowly. Just so gently, he suddenly grasped forward with his bare hands. Actually, directly and firmly grasped the blade of Zanpakutō's reverse caress. Faced with Bai Chen's sudden move, Hiroko Shinji and the other masked captains behind him. His pupils suddenly shrank. He instantly showed an expression of extreme horror. What? How can this be? Bai Chen clearly inhaled the smell released by reverse caress just now. That means his nerves must have been manipulated. How is it possible to be immune to the negative effects of inversion in an instant? For the masked captains, everything happening before our eyes is undoubtedly like a science fiction movie. No matter what specific methods Bai Chen used, it takes just such a short period of time to be able to recover as before. This matter, even better than Bai Chen just crossed the Kido barrier. It made everyone in the masked legion feel shocked and unacceptable. Hateful, suppressed by spiritual power, Zanpakutō cannot break free from the suppression of his palm. Hiroko Shinji gritted his teeth, despite being completely shocked. However, his first reaction at the moment was to shrink back subconsciously. Before figuring out the situation. 340. Keep your distance from Bai Chong first. No matter how hard Hiroko Shinji tries, Zanpakutō's reverse caressing blade is always firmly held in Richen's hand. This also means, want to break free and distance yourself from Bai Chen. Hiroko Shinji either takes the initiative to let go. No more gripping the hilt, giving up holding Zanpakutō. Or fight back with Reiatsu. Force Bai Chen back by releasing Reiatsu. But, either way, obviously it's not realistic. It is simply impossible to gain any benefit from Bai Chen. And the rear, watching the situation turn around. Hiroko Shinji is in trouble for no apparent reason. Kuna Mashiro, Muguruma Kensai, Sarape Hiyori and others. Subconsciously, I no longer wait and see. Instead, they each waved their weapons and rushed towards Bai Chen. Hope to force Bai Chen to let go and avoid. 2. The moment you lean forward, the expressions of the masked captain suddenly changed in an instant. Because of their shocking discovery, I should have stayed out of it. Will not be affected by the upside down power. J.A. Do not know why, without any warning in advance. Their vision and senses were all turned upside down. It was like everyone was caught in an illusion in an instant. And this also led to the direction in which the sword was originally swung. It should have been facing Bai Chen. But, because the visual sense is reversed. Also because for nearly 100 years, I have been neglecting the battle. Everyone in the masked legion cannot change their fighting habits instantly. So in a state of insanity, the direction of their attack also became confused. No longer a unified lock on Bai Chen. Instead, they attacked each other. They turned into cannibalism. Chapter 122 Red Lines. Sage Mode. Infinite Hollow. Advertise here. What happened? Why is this happening? He can actually control the power of reverse caress. How on earth did Bai Chen do it? How on earth do we get out of this mess? At this time, originally retreated to a safe area. The masked captains watching and cheering on the sidelines. Facing the unexpected genjutsu hypnosis. Because I can't bear the confusion of my visual senses. Rao is every one of them. They are all powerful century-old captain-level combatants. But now I still have a broken mentality. Everyone was panicking and even couldn't help but feel panic. But, that's when, in the midst of the chaos, Kuna Mashiro's exclamation instantly attracted everyone's attention. Pulled back to Bai Chen again. Kuna Mashiro stretched out his finger and pointed at Bai Chen's eyes tremblingly. The voice trembled and screamed. Look, Bai Chen's eyes suddenly turned blood red. It's because of the pupil power spread out from those eyes. That's what got us all into chaos, right? Hear Kuna Mashiro's words. All the members of the masked legion turned their attention in unison. All eyes are focused on 3 Tomo Sharingan. Look at the blood-red eyeshadow. And the 3 slowly rotating black Magatama. And after feeling the super strong pupil power spreading from it, everyone in the masked legion is even more scared than before. The brain's thoughts exploded instantly. I can't help but feel my scalp numb. What's going on with these eyes? Is it one of the abilities that comes with Zanpakutō? The reason why our senses get confused. It must be because of the influence of these eyes. Even Muguruma Kensai, the hot-tempered one, after seeing 3 Tomo Sharingan, a muscular body, he couldn't help but tremble. Deep down, I felt extremely shocked. Before this, Muguruma Kensai never heard of it. Past Gote 13, all Shinigami. Anyone's Zanpakutō ability is related to eyes. And the concept of pupil surgery. It had never been born in Soul Society before. There is no need to liberate Zanpakutō, and there is no need to chant the spell in advance. Just relying on spiritual power and eye power. But he can perform hypnosis on the enemy silently. These blood-red eyes are far more powerful than Zanpakutō. Under the long golden wavy hair, Otoribashi Rojiro's eyes were filled with wonder and admiration. He loves music and art. The evaluation of 3 Tomo Sharingan is that it is a perfect work of art full of beauty. I even feel Bai Chen seems to be much more difficult to deal with than Aizen. Otoribashi Rojiro's sighed. Afro Love Akawa sighed solemnly. After all, Aizen's Kyoka Suigetsu must meet Shikai once before he can undergo permanent hypnosis. But when fighting Bai Chen, It's impossible not to look into his eyes all the time. His pupil technique, the ability to replicate the reverse caress. The ability to confuse and control the senses. It's not inferior to Kyoka Suigetsu's 5-sense hypnosis ability. Suppressing the fear in my heart. Love Aikawa gave 3 Tomo Sharingan a very high rating. Even at this moment, while exclamating, his visual senses, and the neurological reflexes of his brain. Still in a state of chaos. In this case, Love Aikawa did not dare to act rashly. At least stand still. You can still force yourself to calm down. But once you act without authorization, you will fall further into illusion. No one can guarantee whether a companion will be accidentally injured at any time. But, even though the Masked Legion's fighting spirit has collapsed. Afraid of Bai Chen's eye power, he was so frightened that he didn't dare to move. But, some people are still trying to resist. Everyone, listen up. You must also feel that the strength of these eyes is obviously related to Bai Chen's spiritual power. And since spiritual power is involved, we only need to transform. Once you enter the hollow state in the Reiatsu surges, you may be able to get rid of the control of Genjutsu. Push your glasses slightly above your nose. Yadomaru Lisa shouted at the top of her lungs. And her analysis instantly awakened everyone. Yeah, I almost forgot. Since Zanpakutō's ability has been countered. Then the hollow ability that we are best at cannot break the situation, right? The originally sluggish fighting spirit. Resurrection with full blood in an instant. After making up their minds, everyone in the Masked Legion acted in unison. At the same time, he covered his face with his palms horizontally. With the power of hollow activated, dark red waves of Reiatsu burst out as deep as an abyss. At the same time on everyone's face. The white bone mask took shape in a short time. Group hollow. Very good. I finally achieved what I wanted to see. Looking at the scene in front of me, a satisfied smile appeared on Bai Chen's lips. He raised his eyes. His eyes glanced around. Look at the 8 virtual masks with different lines. Deep in his eyes, fighting spirit rises. At the same time, he also made a move that shocked the masked captains. Call out. Bai Chen withdrew his pupils. Close 3 Tomo Sharingan. No more illusions being cast on the masked captains. And his behavior, especially when 3 Tomo Sharingan disappears. After the visual senses return to normal. No matter how stupid the Masked Legion is, they still realize that their previous thoughts are the same. Get rid of illusions with hollow. This method is invalid. Instead, Bai Chen took the initiative to dispel the illusion. This makes their visual senses no longer controlled by pupil power. Think of this. Take advantage of the hollow process before. Hiroko Shinji broke free from Bai Chen's suppression. After retreating to his companions, he expressed that his emotions were infected. And asked in a cold voice that made his voice hoarse. Bai Chen. Why did you do this? Obviously after the collective hollow, each of us is much stronger than before. At this time, shouldn't you be using your pupil power to further suppress us? Due to the hollow mask on his face, it is currently impossible to see Hiroko Shinji's facial expression clearly. But it can be seen from the question just now, even as an opponent. Hiroko Shinji can't understand it either. Why did Bai Chen suddenly let them go on purpose? It's because I'm afraid of the power of hollow. That's why Meng Sheng decided to quit and plan to end the fight. Unlikely. Clearly, Bai Chen has been dominating the internet from beginning to end. Spiritual suppression. Eye technique suppression. Suppressing aura. With such huge advantages, Bai Chen has no reason to give in. Perplexed, right, looking at Hiroko Shinji from afar. Feel the fear and confusion in his eyes. Bai Chen smiled meaningfully. Don't worry too much. The reason why I did this was not to set a trap. It's just to make our next hollow showdown more fair. These words of Bai Chen. Like a thunderbolt from the blue, it hit everyone's heart instantly. Once again it brought an unparalleled strong shock. What? Did you hear that right? Hollow duel. Li Nuo Jiao. You mean? You actually control the power of hollow. Shock. Extremely shocking. All the members of the Masked Legion had an instant pupil earthquake. The look of horror in his eyes is about to overflow the virtual mask. They never expected Bai Chen's methods. The power he controls. There are so many of them, and each time they are more shocking than the last. And when viewed as a life-saving straw, and it is the most proud, hollow, power. But he was easily dominated and controlled by the enemy he longed to defeat. After learning this unexpected news, the mood of Hiroko Shinji and others suddenly fell to the bottom. It took a lot of effort to regain my fighting spirit. Once again, he was defeated instantly. However, this is not the most demoralizing thing. Next, Bai Chen raised his arms and put his hands together. Without any warning, directly opened Sage Mode without printing. Moreover, dark red immortal lines appeared on Toshiro's face. The emotions of the Masked Legion were completely exploded. Everyone changes because of Bai Chen entering Sage Mode. And felt deeply shocked. Chapter 123 Sero. I can do it too. Black Truth Seeking Ball. Mayan magic. With Bai Chen folding his hands, he turned on sage mode instantly. Deep red facial lines appeared on the eyeshadow and both sides of the cheeks. The whole person seemed to have transformed in an instant. Not only has his appearance become mysterious, his aura has also become several times stronger than before. The most important is Bai Chen's whole body. The surface of the Black Death domination suit. Because after the spiritual body enters sage mode, continuously absorb the energy around you. Therefore, Bai Chen's skin, together with the appearance of the dead domineering outfit, there is an extra layer of spiritual power visible to the naked eye. No matter the appearance or aura, the whole person looks even more invincible than before. And this new attitude of his, this instantly triggered the emotions of everyone in the masked legion. They were deeply shocked again. What's the situation? Bai Chen, he seems, really knows how to hollow. Under the mask of virtuality, Hiroko Shinji's eyes widened desperately. The pupils have been dilated to the maximum extent. Only looks of horror and disbelief were left. Just now. When I heard Bai Chen's words, hollow duel between us. His first reaction was disbelief. I think Bai Chen is just deliberately bluffing. One that attracts much attention in Soul Society. And a rising star who has grown to the top of Shinigami in a short period of time. How can it be possible to control hollow that is not recognized by Seraiti? It is even considered a forbidden power of evil and betrayal. I didn't expect that. Bai Chen actually went on a hollow, even if they didn't agree with each other. Only, what makes Hiroko Shinji confused? Why are there only red lines on Bai Chen's face? But didn't see the hollow mask. Something's wrong. Is this really hollow? His eyes haven't turned into hollow's unique yellow-brown color either. From the side came the questioning voice of Ryori Sarupe. Although I am afraid of Bai Chen's new attitude. But Koteme and Hiroko Shinji have the same idea. It also gave rise to deep doubts. Could it be? Are there different advancements in hollow? And Bai Chen's hollow is a brand new model that has never been seen before. Although the reason for this explanation is far-fetched. But after Bai Chen turned on sage mode, the momentum doubled in an instant. And those familiar crimson facial patterns still has a lot of similarities with hollow. Even if Hiyori Sarupe subconsciously expressed strong doubts. But with limited vision, she really couldn't think of any other more reasonable explanation. But, Love Akawa behind. Instead, I put forward a point of view. Rubbing his chin and smoothing out his thin beard, Love Akawa frowned and said. Why do I feel it's not so much hollow, Bai Chen's current state? Obviously, it's more like the Quincy's most commonly used method, spirit concentration. It's an enhanced version of this move. Love Akawa said sharply, because he has been living in seclusion for decades. During this time, he did it more than once. He has dealt with the only remaining Quincy family in the world. And I have a general understanding of the Quincy's power system. After some comparison, Love Akawa feels more and more about Bai Chen's current mysterious state. It has nothing to do with hollow at all. On the contrary, it is more like the most basic ability of a Quincy. That is to say, the spirits in the surrounding air gather to your side in an instant and turn it into your own strength. And, Adej, the only difference is in the impression of Love Akawa. The Quincy's he met could only absorb a small part of the Spirit Suns through the ability of Spirit Sun gathering. Far less violent than Sage mode. And it absorbs souls indiscriminately. Even the number 90 Bakudo barrier on the outside. Internally used for stable Spirit Sun. It was actually affected, and there were obvious signs of collapse. However, Love Akawa's speculation, not only did it not have any easing effect. On the contrary, it made the atmosphere at the scene even more frightening. And suffocating. Impossible. Aren't the Quincy and the Shinigami the mortal enemies of the hatred of genocide? How could Bai Chen know the skills of a Quincy? His abilities are getting more and more outrageous. Hiroko Shinji was stunned. I feel very speechless at this moment. The impression Bai Chen gave them before turning on sage mode. It's already possible. It's better now. Bai Chen actually knows the abilities of a Quincy. And it's also an advanced and enhanced version with doubled power. Thinking of this, Hiroko Shinji couldn't help but feel discouraged. The mood immediately became more depressed. He just couldn't imagine it. How did Bai Chen do it? In just half a year, it has gone from obscurity. It has grown to the point where it is now omnipotent. And in strong contrast, Hiroko Shinji suddenly felt that he had been living in seclusion for the past few decades. What a waste of time. And at this time, just in the Masked Legion. A time of panic, fear, and shock. After Bai Chen felt the increase in power brought by sage mode. The corners of his mouth also curled up in a satisfied arc. Sure enough, I was not disappointed. It is truly an enhanced version after system improvements and the spiritual power of the body. Bai Chen glanced down, the black Reiatsu coat covering the body. At this time, he had a palpable sense of it, even if I didn't do anything intentionally. As long as you enter the sage mode state, everything that exists within 1,000 miles around. Whether it's the spirit flowing in the air, or it's the spirit that exists inside the object itself. All will be forcibly plundered unintentionally. And they are all continuously absorbed into Bai Chen's body from all directions. That is to say, as long as Sage Mode lasts, Bai Chen's power will continue to grow stronger. The most important is, he had always wanted to confirm it. The duration of Sage Mode. The answer is 1. No time limit. Yes, Bai Chen can not only emulate Senju Hashirama, directly cast the spell without seal and turn on Sage Mode. And there are no limitations, nor will it weaken with the passage of time. This is what makes Bai Chen feel most satisfied. And it's the scariest place. Currently in this world where spiritual beings are relatively rare, there has been such an obvious increase effect. If you are in a high concentration environment and turn on Sage Mode, the increase in power and the skyrocketing level of Reiatsu will definitely have a multiplied effect. Think of this. Bai Chen's eyes gradually became fiery. He immediately thought of the Spirit King Palace. And the base camp of the Invisible Empire, Shadow Realm. If only I could go to these two places in the future. Then, Sage Mode can exert its full power. Then, Bai Chen put away his thoughts with satisfaction. The eyes under the red facial lines stared straight at the opposite side. Make eye contact with Hiroko Shinji and others. Fellow masked captains. The things I want to verify have already achieved satisfactory results. So I don't have the patience to continue fighting. Bai Chen's momentum explodes. A whirlwind of wind and waves formed by black spiritual power. It directly shook the entire abandoned warehouse and even caused the surrounding Daoji to breathe. It also became shaky because of this. It seems like it could collapse at any time. So, use your strongest means. Then we will decide the outcome with one blow. Bai Chen said in a confident voice. And what he said. Especially the attitude of winning. It also instantly inspired the fighting spirit of the masked captains. Oh, Bai, stop looking down on others. No matter how powerful you are. How can you deal with Sero who is trying our best? Hiroko Shinji said coldly. Be the first to raise Zanpakutō and condense Sero at the tip of the blade. And with him taking the lead. The rest of the companions behind him. Muguruma Kensai, Love Aikawa, Odoribashi Rojiro and others. They all condensed a red flash of light at the same moment. The red light is getting stronger and stronger. Bai Chen's figure was firmly locked on. Once the energy is accumulated, it will be blasted immediately. However, even the entire sight range. In just a few seconds, it was occupied by red light. But Bai Chen's expression, not only has there been no change at all. Instead, the corners of his mouth turned up in a playful arc. Sero, I can too. You have never seen it, right? Vasto Lord's Black Sero. And my move, Truth-Seeking Ball. More than 10 times more powerful than Black Sero. Bai Chen said confidently. It sounded like intriguing words to everyone in the Masked Legion. Before they could react, Bai Chen then copied the movements of the masked captains. Raise your arms. Stretch your palms out. The ultimate concentration and compression of spiritual power. In a blink, almost constantly for a moment. Under the anxious gazes of Hiroko Shinji and others. Compressed by dark spiritual power. An oval-shaped black truth-seeking ball that exudes the aura of destruction. Right in front of Bai Chen, it suddenly condensed into shape. And the aura exuded in an instant. It actually caused the surrounding space to be slightly distorted. This moment, watch the floating black truth-seeking ball. Everyone in the Masked Legion felt it deeply. A real death threat. And even his breathing almost stopped due to this. They have no doubt, once this black truth-seeking ball detonates. Not to mention resisting the simultaneous bombardment of 8 Sero. I'm afraid the entire abandoned warehouse, together with the Bakudo barrier number 90 or above for external protection. It will be bombarded in an instant. Directly destroyed into ashes. The whole thing was reduced to ruins. And together with myself in the hollow state. He will also be affected, and he will be severely injured and crippled and fall to the ground in an instant. And this is the black truth-seeking ball. This moment brings Hiroko Shinji and others the most realistic feeling of fear. Chapter 124. The entire army was wiped out. Whereabouts exposed. Zubai is coming. Advertise here. Gulu. The sound of swallowing. Ringing one after another. At this time, the huge abandoned warehouse was silent. Watching the suspended black truth-seeking ball. Even though it's not that big. And the luster it emits is far less dazzling than Sero. But it was brought to Hiroko Shinji and others. Something I haven't experienced in many years since I defected from Soul Society. The feeling of being infinitely close to death. What makes the masked captains feel even more desperate is this. Now, the black truth-seeking ball has completely condensed into shape. That is to say, in the small space of an abandoned warehouse. Even if everyone immediately gathered their spiritual power, removed the Keto barrier immediately, and then turned around and escaped from here. But once Bai Chen intends to stop it, and let the black truth-seeking ball explode instantly. The Masked Legion is not only unable to escape, and it will be engulfed by the explosion energy in an instant. This also means, from the moment the truth-seeking ball appears, the Masked Legion's defeat is completely doomed. Hateful. Bai Chen, this bastard. He is planning to directly destroy the stronghold we have worked hard for decades. Tsurupe Ryori gritted his teeth. Every syllable that pops out from between the teeth. They are all full of hatred and fear for Bai Chen. ... No matter how arrogant the little girl is at ordinary times. Faced with an absolutely overwhelming strength gap. All her fighting spirit and confidence were defeated at once. Even because the psychological defense is close to collapse. As for the corner of the eye, some water gardens are vaguely gathering. ... After seeing the black truth-seeking ball, Hiyori Sarupe was almost scared to tears. In contrast, Bai Chen. The smile on his face deepened further. Regarding the power of the black truth-seeking ball, he said with satisfaction. Although not really a truth-seeking ball, but with the blessing of the dark spirit in my body. This black truth-seeking ball I condensed. It's not worse than the Six Paths magic. It is also extremely powerful and possesses all-encompassing destructive power. Bai Chen analyzed secretly in his heart. As everyone knows. The truth-seeking ball in the ninja world. Generally speaking, it refers to after possessing the power of the Sage of Six Paths level, or mastering the magic of the Six Paths. Because he has mastered the power of yin and yang and the five elements. Therefore, you can use yin-yang escape technique to convert high-density chakra. A truth-seeking ball created in the form of dark matter. And here we are at Bai Chen. Because no matter its sage mode. Or maybe his own spiritual power has been strengthened. So, the truth-seeking ball he condensed. Strength and destructive power simply depend on how powerful Reiatsu is. And because of the way of compression and condensation. In fact, it's exactly the same principle as Sero. So now this truth-seeking ball. The destructive energy contained within it. Far 10 times or even 100 times more powerful than Sero. ... Just 8 people join forces. Even if Hiroko Shinji and the others have the upper hand. And Sero's energy has been completely accumulated. But Bai Chen didn't take it seriously at all. Even when he looked at the other side, there was still a trace of pity in his eyes. Actually, for the Masked Legion, Bai Chen didn't have any murderous intentions. The reason why I took the initiative to come to the door was just to pass them. Feel free to test it out. Just the power and intensity of Sage Mode. But, next, once the truth-seeking ball explodes. Can Hiroko Shinji and others survive the explosion? That has nothing to do with Bai Chen. Bai Chen will not show any mercy on purpose. Whether they live or die is up to them. At the same time. Just when Bai Chen thought so. With the thought of his life hanging by a thread, Hiroko Shinji gritted his teeth. Sero was blasted out in one go. Boom. Flashburst. Red light. This small space was instantly dyed red. Everything in the abandoned warehouse was stained with a blush. White. Even if we are defeated in the end. We will definitely pull you to self-destruct together. In the mighty Sero light, Hiroko Shinji came out, and finally gave a stubborn shout. To this, Bai Chen looked calm, just a faint smile. Then he raised his hand and pushed his palm forward. Slowly push the black truth-seeking ball forward. The next moment, when the crimson Sero flows. When the black truth-seeking ball collides head-on. Boom. After the earth-shaking roar. The truth-seeking ball explodes. The highly compressed dark spiritual power inside. All released in an instant. The next second, everyone in the Masked Legion saw a scene that made them dizzy. How can this be? Sero just disappeared like that. That's the combined strength of the 8 of us. Hiroko Shinji was dumbfounded. Mugaruma Kensai's eyes were dull. Kuna Mashiro, Hiyori Sarupe, and Yadomaru Lisa were so frightened that their faces turned pale. Original. Put yourself in their shoes. Within sight, it turned out to be after Sero exploded. Those red energy shock waves blasted out. Just in the blink of an eye. Not even a thousandth of a second. All the red flashes seemed to be swallowed by a black hole. It actually disappeared right in front of my eyes. However, before Hiroko Shinji and others could express their exclamation. Like a wave, the black current rushes towards you and presses you. Crush everything along the way. This caused the entire abandoned warehouse to completely collapse and fall. And the Kido barrier surrounding it. At this moment, it completely fell apart. When the sound of cracking and destruction. After ringing incessantly. It even caused the earth to vibrate at the same frequency. It tore up countless huge ravines and sent gravel flying all over the sky. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. It's not a level of power confrontation at all. Now the 8 of us are completely beaten. When the vision is gradually swallowed up by darkness. The 8 members of the Masked Legion are the last remaining line of psychological defense. Finally it was completely penetrated. What makes them even more desperate is that the sense of oppression brought by the dark spiritual power is too strong. Even the bodies of the masked captains. In the face of this absolute oppression, even the spiritual power in the body is running. It also completely stopped at this moment. Finally. It's not just the body that is crushed. The virtual mask on his face also exploded and shattered. The bodies of Hiroko Shinji and others. He was immediately blown away and caught in the Reiatsu air wave. In the end, they were all hunched over in extremely awkward postures. They all fell powerlessly into the useless position. Together with the stronghold they have worked hard for decades. Completely buried in the soil together. I accidentally used too much force. They actually moved this area to the ground. Standing in midair. Chen lowered his head and glanced around, looking at the destruction of the abandoned warehouse and the collapse of the foundation. And lead to all nearby surrounding buildings. Either it collapsed, or half of it was left, and everything was seriously damaged. 0. Please give me flowers. See this dilapidated scene. Bai Chen can sigh again. Truth-seeking ball is indeed well deserved. Even the Shinigami world version of truth-seeking ball. And it needs to be condensed and released after entering Sage mode. Its power and degree of destruction. It still far exceeded Bai Chen's expectations. Brought quite a surprise. But, even with one strike, he defeated all members of the masked army. But I always thought that the commotion would be so loud. And after losing the shielding of Keto barrier, your actions will inevitably be exposed. In Bai Chen's mind, Aizen often flashes across his mind. If I guess correctly, the energy fluctuation caused by the explosion just now. It will definitely be noticed by the surveillance equipment installed by Aizen in this world, right? Bai Chen's eyes flickered. He secretly guessed. It's not hard to imagine. Once he learned his whereabouts, he appeared in Karakura Town. The Aizen trio will definitely be the first. Control Zubai, let it cross the city, and rush to Karakura Town immediately. And for Manos Grande at Vasto Lord level. In my childhood, the geographical distance between cities was only 10 minutes at most. That is to say, if nothing unexpected happens, Bai Chen will soon face Shu Bai, after the battle with the Masked Legion. Compete again with Shu Bai, the legendary killing machine. At the same time, the underground secret room of the 5th Division. Just as Bai Chen expected, abnormal fluctuations caused by the explosion of the black truth-seeking ball. Sure enough, it was discovered by the surveillance equipment secretly deployed by Aizen. Lord Aizen, I have just analyzed and compared them. All the data of the Reiatsu detected in the abnormal fluctuation just now match perfectly with Bai Chen. In other words, it was his fighting in this world that triggered the massive riot just now. In front of the flashing surveillance screen, the blind Tusen Konami bowed towards Aizen standing in front of him. Respectfully, Shen Shengwei reports, and he just finished speaking. Before Aizen could even begin to respond, Ichimaru Jin smiled and took the lead in taking the conversation. Tisk tisk tisk, if it was Bai Chen who did it, then that's right. I just received the news. Not long after, he passed through the north boundary gate and quietly left Seraiti alone. I didn't expect. Bai Chen actually took the initiative to go to Karakura Town. Ichimaru Jin said with a smile. I see. Silver, it seems we are quite lucky. Hear what the two said. Under the reflective lenses, in Aizen's indifferent pupils, there was a rare slight ripple, and the state of mind that has always been calm has become slightly happier. Aizen is not duplicity. It's because of the development of things, although it is somewhat unexpected. But everything went as he wished. The trap was originally expected to take some time to set. Unexpectedly, Bai Chen was regarded as prey. There is no need to try hard to seduce him, he just takes the initiative to go to this world. And it's Karakura Town, a land of heavy spirits. In Aizen's opinion, everything is perfect. He doesn't care about Bai Chen's specific purpose of going to this world. It doesn't matter whether Urahara Kazuki, Hiroko Shinji and others will have secret contact with Bai Chen. Aizen's only thought at the moment. Just order Tusen Konami to drive Kion to Karakura Town. Then do what he has longed for. A better comparison than the year before against Hiroko Shinji and others. A more advanced and more intense Hollow Experiment 1 Chapter 125 Peace Talks. Make an alliance. Deal with Aizen. Want. Where is Shu Bai's current specific location? If it sets off immediately and rushes to Karakura Town, how long will it take? There was a clear ups and downs of emotions. Aizen pushed up his black-rimmed glasses slightly while staring intently. Staring at the monitor screen. Currently playing, live footage of Karakura Town. Lord Aizen, Shu Bai is currently lurking in Naruki City. If the killing process is started immediately, it will only take less than half an hour. You can cross geographical distances and go from Naruki City to Karakura Town. Facing Aizen's questions, Tusen Konami answered respectfully in an affirmative tone. Half an hour. This is just enough time for us to arrive from Seraiti to the present world. Got the answer I wanted. The corner of Aizen's mouth curved with satisfaction. Then he looked back, no more staring at the monitor screen. Instead, he turned around suddenly and ordered in a deep voice towards Ichimaru Jin and Tusen Konami. Silver. Year. Install. Put on your black cloak and let's set off for Karakura Town immediately. Faced with such a God-given opportunity, it's time to end the myth of Bai Chen's rise. When the name, Bai Chen, is mentioned, a clear chill flashed through the depths of Aizen's eyes. For Bai Chen, 737, he was interested from the beginning. Later, I tried taking the initiative to contact him. And after being rejected, it was because I could never find the right time for hypnosis. Aizen gradually realized that his situation was becoming more and more passive. With the rapid rise and growth of Bai Chen, the possibility of secretly controlling Bai Chen has become increasingly slim. A rare and wonderful opportunity that happens outside of Soul Society. The next step is to use Hollow to frame him. Or while watching the battle, wait for an opportunity to carry out a sneak attack and backstab. Aizen's only thought at the moment. Just use all means to kill Bai Chen in one go. Get rid of this serious problem permanently. At the same time. East of Karakura Town. The area near Naruki City. Brush. Above midair, Shiba wholeheartedly criticized the figure wrapped in a black cloak. Keep flying over different buildings one after another. At the same time, his eyes are constantly searching everywhere. But, when the masked legion stronghold explodes. After the huge news came, Shiba immediately stopped and looked in that direction with a frown. This wave is Bai Chen's Reiatsu. After performing Reiatsu perception from a distance, Shiba Ishin's brows even knitted together. Subconsciously he complained helplessly. What is Bai Chen doing? What happened over there? I clearly agreed to keep a low profile. It's good now. Just a disagreement has made such a big noise. I'm afraid it has attracted the attention of the Technology Development Bureau. Shiba pouted helplessly. Originally, he planned to remain hidden with his black cloak. But now it seems, since this strong blast will probably alert the Technology Development Bureau, then your behavior of sneaking into the world without authorization will be exposed sooner or later. Therefore, will you continue to hide your whereabouts next? It doesn't make much sense anymore. But, just when Shiba was thinking secretly. However, there were 3 Shinigami stationed in Karakura Town. Also because it sensed the explosion of the masked legion stronghold. After being alarmed, they came over after hearing the news and held a gathering conversation nearby. What's the situation? A big explosion that happened out of nowhere. In recent times, more and more strange things have happened. Standing in this world is no longer leisurely. Instead, it has become a dangerous thing. During the chat, these 3 bottom members of the 10th Division. Everyone's face showed a sad expression. I can't help but feel worried and scared. Because some time ago, there were rumors about the rainy day monster. It has been widely circulated in the modern world. Therefore, the Shinigami can easily think of the current explosion. Could it be that the rumored monster that specifically hunts Shinigami has appeared? But, just when they were about to continue chatting, suddenly, Shiba's deliberately threatening voice sounded next to him. Why, are you guys planning to quit your job? Let me explain in advance. No one is allowed to leave their post without authorization before the end of the specified task period. Shiba Ishin's voice, like a ghost that suddenly appears. It shocked the 3 Shinigami. F*K. You are Captain Shiba. Good thing. When they screamed and turned around. After discovering Ishin Shiba who took off his black cloak on his own initiative. Then he breathed a sigh of relief. Don't be nervous. There's no need to be surprised. I'm not the rainy day monster you call me. He patted everyone on the shoulder calmly. Shiba smiled lightly and greeted his subordinates. Shiba, Captain, why did you suddenly appear in this world? The members of Division 10 were shocked. At one point, I even wondered if I had recognized the wrong person. Captain Shinigami is a big shot. And it's Shiba Ishin, the famous slacker. It's even less likely that he would come to this world without any problems. XX. Has something really happened in Karakura Town? When they thought of this, the Shinigami's faces instantly turned pale. I can't help but feel even more scared. To this, Shiba Ishin didn't explain much. Just reminding the team members not to worry too much. And don't run around when nothing happens. Lest the rainy day comes later, the rumored monster will really appear. However, I don't know if it's a coincidence. Or Shiba Ishin really has a crow's mouth. Just when he finished his instructions. Suddenly, boom, above the dome, among the thick clouds. Suddenly there was a burst of thunder. And the originally clear sky gradually began to be shrouded in dark clouds. No, dark clouds, rainy days, could it be that my crow's mouth is really telling the truth? Shiba was stunned. The 3 Shinigami behind him looked at each other in confusion. And when the follow-up, the thunder sounded again one after another. And after the raindrops fell on my face. Now even Shiba Ishin is not calm at all. Do not know why, looking at the dark clouds. And the rain is gradually increasing. Shiba has a strong premonition. Later, soon after, the truth he is determined to investigate, the rumored rainy day monster. Or it's really going to appear soon. At the same time. The suburbs of Karakura Town. Above the ruins of the masked legion stronghold. What, you were neither a pursuer sent by Gote 13. And he's still Aizen's enemy. Real or fake? The exclamations sounded one after another. Just now, Ishin Shiba met the members of the 10th Division. We also made peace with the masked legion. And he took the initiative to express his position and told him that he was not hostile. And he is still an enemy that has been targeted by Aizen for a long time. To this, regarding Bai Chen's remarks, the first reaction of everyone in the masked legion was strong doubts and disbelief. That's why they couldn't help but collectively exclaimed. Quote. I knew you would react like this. Standing on top of a pile of boulders, Bai Chen looked down at Hirako Shinji and others from a high position. The shocked expressions on their faces. All at your fingertips. No, Bai Chen, according to what you just said, if you really don't have any hostility. Hiroko Shinji looked around, looking at the dilapidated scenes around him. My heart was bleeding and I said, then why do you want to demolish your home? We have worked hard to build a stronghold for decades. But you were just flattened to the ground. Hiroko Shinji was speechless. I felt very helpless inside. Not only people were beaten violently. Even the home was demolished. But there is still no way to seek justice from Bai Chen. Face this outcome. Except for the fact that I hate it so much. Hiroko Shinji could only express all his unhappiness and frustration. I broke my teeth and swallowed them. Tisk, is it possible that you didn't do this first? At the very beginning of our meeting, they tried to work together to surround me and subdue me. And what I did was just passive defense and counterattack. These words of Bai Chen. It was as if the masked captains were forcibly fed a handful of yellow lotus. Not only did they block their mouths instantly, it also caused each of them to suffer so much that they couldn't express it. Well. Hiroko Shinji opened his mouth in shock. Trying to say something. But after holding it in for a long time, until my face turned red and my ears turned red, I really had nothing to say. In the end, 1.3 had no choice but to completely give up the idea of seeking justice. Then he asked with a solemn expression. So, Bai Chen. The reason why you took the initiative to clarify and express your position. Then do I think you intentionally want to build a relationship with us? Hiroko Shinji asked tentatively, although the battle that just happened resulted in a tragic defeat for the 8 of them. And in the end, everyone was bruised, and everyone was injured to varying degrees. But, now that Bai Chen has taken the initiative to state his position, and cancel sage mode, and no longer assume a fighting posture, then no matter how bad Hiroko Shinji's eyesight is, it is also obvious that Bai Chen is obviously sincere in his intention to negotiate. Mutual cooperation. Let's face the common enemy together, Aizen. That's right, just as you imagined. Facing Hiroko Shinji's cautious gaze, Bai Chen nodded slightly and gave an affirmative answer. To be precise, I hope to unite with your masked army. The words fell. When Bai Chen's voice, the moment it reached my ears, not only Hiroko Shinji, but also the other companions behind him. Everyone's expression suddenly changed dramatically. They never expected that Bai Chen was not only thinking about peace talks. He even plans to form a direct alliance with the Masked Legion.